rain. We shed a million tears and drank as many old-style beers out at the game. Let's go, Cubbies, on Ranto.
Michael Cotton.
Son Ranto.
Michael Cotton.
Son Ranto and the lovable Lucy.
Lucho Scali.
Son Ranto.
Michael.
Son Ranto.
Cotton.
Son Ranto and the lovable Lucy.
Michael Cotton.
Son Ranto.
Lucho Scali.
Hey now. Welcome to the Ranto Ranters Roundtable / Cubs Autopsy. My name is Danny Rocket. That was Michael Cotton. This show is brought to you by our 113 Patreon supporters. Blake Beard's tickets at the Blake Beard on Twitter for all your Cubs tickets next year. Rogue Wave creative for your branding, graphic, and web design needs, and the Cubs PS Plus podcast, who Mike Waller will be by later in the show to do this Cubs autopsy with us. As always, hashtag Chance in the chat, and you could win a Frank Chance postcard sent to you by me with a message of love and doom. Michael Cotton, are you ready to carve up the 2023 Cubs season?
Absolutely. I've got my Shiner Oktoberfest, so I've got an October beer from Texas to sadly go where no man wants to go.
And I am drinking my caffeine here with my yerba mate tea and my bombilla straw. But I think the best person to start with here is one of the biggest Cubs fans on the planet. He talked about the Cubs to everybody for many years, pre and post game. And he's a great friend of mine. And he hosts my favorite Cubs podcast called the Recap Podcast he does with Gordon Whitmire. Ladies and gentlemen, the Catman, David Kaplan. How you doing, David?
What's up, gentlemen? How you doing? Great to be with you.
Hey.
Well, you know, we got a bit of a hangover from that season, and it wasn't exactly, well, it was almost exactly how I thought it was going to go. I just got to ask you off the bat, like, are you disappointed? Are you feeling like they underperformed what they could have done, or how are you feeling about the 2023 Cubs team? As with what taste in your mouth do you have?
So I had not a huge wager, but I had $200 on the over on the Cubs wins at 70, I think 78.5. And
so that went well.
That went well. I won a couple $100. That was good. I expected them to be a vastly improved team. My problem with them, and again, I like Jed Hoyer. I actually think their organization is in a better place than it was when Theo left.
That's for sure. They fired everybody.
They got rid of a bunch of guys, and none of those guys would you want the contracts they're currently playing under. That's one. Two, they're developing pitching at a much better rate than they were from 2012 to 2021. Three, they got one of the top 5 farm systems by anybody's rankings. So it's going this way. My problem is if you're going to go out and give up prospects, and I know they didn't give up the greatest players, but if you're going to make a deal to go get Jamer Candelario, then you can't be half pregnant. Go finish it off and get – I'm not asking for Max Scherzer and Ohtani and Verlander, but you got to go out and at least give David Ross somebody he can look down there and go, okay, let's go. Because people like to blast him on social media, and I don't like all the bunting. I'm right there with everybody. But someone at the ballpark said to me, hang on a second. I heard you blasting the bullpen usage the other day. And I said, yeah, I didn't like him doing that. They said, you come down and manage that for a few days. And you look down there and go, oh, God, who am I going to now? That guy's arm is falling off. That guy is. This guy, Palencia, throws 100. He had a 6 ERA in AAA. We're using him with the season on the line. So I thought Jed and Tom and Carter, if you're going to go get Candelario, then finish it off.
So do you think it was a mistake that at the trade deadline that they didn't trade Bellinger or you know, because that's part of the equation. If you're not going to add enough at the trade deadline, then you probably should have sold and gotten more.
No, because this is the Cubs. This isn't the Royals or the A's or the freaking White Sox. You have got to, at some point, go, we're here, we're back, we're done with being a middle market franchise that's just going to, hey, we got the 7th best prospect from the Diamondbacks for whoever we gave up. No. At some point, you got to go, we're about winning. And I ran into Tom Ricketts one day. This is before the deadline. He's like, I'm done with that. I want to win. I'm not naive that we've still got steps to take, but no, I do not want to trade these guys. And it worked out they didn't. I thought that sets a good message going into the offseason when you call up the Scott Borises of the world and you go, I'd like to come after this client. Well, are you guys going to try to win? We already are trying to win.
Right. Well, look, I absolutely agree with you. They really kind of half-assed it
Exactly.
at the trade deadline. I mean, what they really did was just not sell. That's what it felt like.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're like, we're going for it, but really what they were doing is they just weren't selling. And unfortunately, there was this narrative that Jed decided that like the Friday before or some
the night of the Talkman catch.
Yeah.
One catch made us buyers.
Where was he the rest of the year? And that's where my frustration is. I don't think they lost this season in these last 2 weeks. They lost it in April and May when they didn't break with the best team that they could have broken with. They didn't even have they had 2 outfielders. You know, so I mean, what do you think about that when you go back to the very beginning where they had Hosmer and Mancini and Barnhart and some of these guys that they ultimately just cut bait with completely, and yet that was their plan at the beginning. So how does that work into this sort of collapse at the end?
Well, they didn't have Suzuki because he was on the injured list with an oblique. They didn't
replace him with an outfielder. That was my problem with that. Like, I get that Suzuki wasn't there, but
we were
Talkman should have been
Mancini out there.
Yeah, Mancini dropping balls. Yeah,
Christopher Morel's in the minors.
Talkman's in the minors.
Talkman's in the minors. Like, if you're telling me that, okay, Morel needs a couple weeks, okay, he didn't come up till May. I mean, what are we doing here? That bothered me. And then I'm a huge Suzuki guy, huge. And I'm at the ballpark. It's the Saturday after the All-Star break. We're playing the Red Sox, I believe. And I'm on the field. It's like 10 a.m. And I'm standing there with 3 players. No microphones. I'm not working on TV anymore. I'm just there. I have my son with me. We're going to the game just to hang out. And I say to these 3 players, hey, who's the best offensive player on the team? And all 3 guys, said, that's an easy one. And I thought they would say Cody Bellinger. And they said, say Suzuki's by far a better player. I said, seriously? They said, just wait till his oblique is 100%. He's been playing through it and he's feeling better. You watch. And one of the players said to me, you like to gamble, right? I hear you on the air. I said, oh, yeah, only in days that end in a Y. He said, well, if there's a way to bet on Suzuki's second half, put your money on it because he's going to be a beast. He was right. He was a beast.
And we saw that at the end of the year, of course, when he was just one of the best players in baseball. He kind of took over where Bellinger sort of left off at that point. Right. And, you know, I want to talk first. I want to bring in some friends of ours. Cap, this is almost like this is your NBC Sports Life, because here comes Luis Medina and Michael Cerami.
Oh, yeah, my guys. Cerami and I were on the phone the other day for like a half hour.
You guys have no idea. I get, like, they're not drunk calls. They're angry calls from Cap after the Cubs. What the hell is your team doing? This is your bullpen speech. This is our team, pal.
He tweets about the fantastic, I think was the word, year that Dansby Swanson had. And I tweeted, hey, Sparky, he's a solid, really good player. I'm glad we have him. Fantastic. He hit 240-8.
22 homers, 5 WAR.
99 OPS plus.
I love debating with him on the phone. We have a good time.
But we watched a ton of games together back in 2019, which was another year that kind of fizzled out on us. there were, for a variety of reasons, every year that fails has its people to blame. And when I look at some stats here, I'm going to put up something real quick, and that's the Cubs win-loss splits that they have up on Baseball Reference. If you guys can see these, and I'll go a little bit further.
I need my glasses. Yeah, go ahead.
So the Cubs 27 of the Cubs 42 of the Cubs 79 losses were by 2 runs or less.
Mm-hmm.
So they were losing on the margins. They obviously were terrible in 1-run games, 21 and 24, even worse in 2-run games. Then you have they're lost on. They had a losing road record, a 1-5 record to end the season did not help that at all. The Brewers, on the other hand, 29 and 18 in 1-run games. Also, the Brewers were great on the margins. Only half of their losses were under 2 runs. Cubs were bad in extra innings. They had a losing record there. Of course, we all know they were great in blowout games, 32 and 18 by winning by more than 5 runs. And against 500 teams above 500, they had a losing record as well. So when I put all those kind of things together, what do the Cubs need to do on the periphery to turn those numbers around? Because if you turn them around, you're playing in the playoffs.
Michael fixed their bullpen, right?
Yeah, they got to fix the bullpen. I mean, I was talking about this with Brett earlier today. Setting aside what they didn't do at the deadline, I was listening to you guys. Totally agree with that. Coming into the year, I think we were pretty confident that they had enough arms to get through the season. But when you get nothing at all from Keegan Thompson and next to nothing at all from Brad Boxberger and a horrible start from Michael Fulmer and nothing at all from Cody Hoyer, well, it's like those are 4 guys that you kind of counted on to gobble up a lot of innings and make it so that, 1, they could figure out the bullpen more quickly than they did because it took them a long time this year for David Ross to figure it out. And 2, make sure that those 4 guys don't end up, pitching at 80, 90 inning rates in the middle of the season when they're the only guys that we could trust. So I think the loss of those guys early on made a huge, huge dent in their season that they just weren't able to recover from in those 2 ways. And that was kind of it. That was kind of the story of the season. So hope for a little bit better luck, but get as much pitching as you can. Yeah, I mean, you got to get pitching. There's nothing novel there.
You agree? You need another top flight starter. You do.
You need someone. I think that's where they failed the biggest at the trade deadline was they knew Marcus Stroman wasn't right. They put him on the IL right after the deadline, and they didn't have anyone to back him up. Ben Brown wasn't ready. They weren't going to bring up Cade Horton. They needed another arm, and instead of getting another legit starter, they just kind of thought they'd cobble it together, and that's not how you make the playoffs. Doesn't matter how hot you are in July. They had to end up digging themselves out of a hole, and they fizzled in September. And I was thinking back to what Michael said earlier about, the guys who were getting all these at-bats in April, May. Trey Mancini, Tucker Barnhart, Eric Hosmer. That's kind of where they lost a lot of games is in the offseason betting on those guys. You've got to make better bets. You've got to – those are the guys you have to develop and not sign in free agency.
Here's your negative WAR players I'm putting up right now. From Mancini, the worst, Hosmer, and Barnhart.
Luis Torrens. I totally forgot he was even on this team.
So did he, I think. I don't even think he knows he was on this team. I know, Cap, you've got to go, but so I want to let you go, but I'm going to move you into the hot seat real quick because we do something on this show called the bitch clock. And that is when we do 30 seconds on the clock, but you have to take a spin of the bitch clock wheel first. So just let me know when you want me to go, and I will click spin.
All right, go.
All right, here we go. We will see where it lands.
Oh, it's tension.
So we've got lots of different. Okay, roster. Looks like it's going to be roster construction is your topic. So we're going to throw you into the bitch clock hot seat. And are you ready, Cap?
I'm rocking and rolling, baby. Ready to go.
Here we go.
Clock, you have 30 seconds to bitch.
Roster
Okay.
construction.
All right, I'm tired of watching Miles Mastrobuoni get freaking start after start when he was pathetically bad. I don't care what he did like a week ago. Stop with that. That's number one. Number two, Tucker Barnhart, you may be a really nice guy. They went
10
way too
seconds.
freaking long with this guy. You've got to continue to add to your freaking bullpen. Daniel Palencia can't be pitching with the goddamn season on the line.
Stop your bitching.
Nice job, Pat.
Excellent,
Good job.
excellent job. Very well done.
Coming to Ball Hawk Corner next year, I'm hoping. I want to get an actual big like Wheel of Fortune wheel and just like sit there and let fans go at it on the bitch clock. But
That's really good.
but
That would be fun.
I totally agree with you, Cap. It's like, and we were just kind of talking about it. It's like they wasted so much time, not only just with these players that weren't working out, and all the fans knew. They're like, you gotta cut bait. Like, I've never seen so many fans at the same time disagree with the manager, disagree with the roster, disagree with the batting order. Like, I'm like, usually we argue about these things, but we all agreed that it sucked.
Ultimately,
And
the fans are proven right. That's what never happens, right? Like, ultimately, they make all the changes that we want. They just did it 3 weeks too late, and they lost too many games doing it. But once they put together the team that I think the fans kind of wanted, that was their best stretch of the year.
yeah, I mean, I was just gonna say that Eric Hosmer. It's like it's one thing to bet on Trey Mancini, a guy who's younger, had an injury, had a more recent stretch of good play. Okay, give him 100, 200 plate appearances, figure it out. It was never going to happen with Eric Hosmer, and everybody knew it. So it's just like, what are we doing?
We didn't even get a roster invite after. Like Mancini, latched on with the Reds for a minute. Barnhart ended up with the Dodgers. No one even brought Hosmer in.
Yeah.
So
No, he's done.
everything you needed to know.
Cap, I got to ask you, give me a positive takeaway from this season, something that you liked. I mean, you already talked about the trajectory of the team. What do you like for 2024 moving forward?
They have salary space, and I think they're going to spend it. I think they'll spend it wisely. When Jed says intelligent spending, everybody goes, no, well, what does that mean? I thought they spent intelligently in the offseason. Like, I'm glad Dansby Swanson is our shortstop. I just don't want him hitting in the middle of the lineup. I said to Michael the other night, if you look at the Braves and the Orioles, just pick the top teams. Other than maybe Seiya Suzuki, we don't have anybody at the end of the year, the way they're playing, that you go, oh, he'd be in the top 3 or 4 on that team hitting. Like, Bellinger cooled off dramatically. Seiya is the one guy that might be a difference maker on the really good teams. We need a freaking star. Cerami had a great idea. Let's go trade for Juan Soto.
I'm in.
Yeah. No,
It's going to happen.
Somebody of that caliber, I totally agree. Just real quick, I'll put up who our stars are. These are the only Cubs in the top 10 in MLB in anything. And Bellinger is 9th in slugging, 6th in batting average. You got Happ with walks. Candelario, who's gone, it was 6th in doubles. You got Horner with hits and stolen bases, but that's not home runs. And then the rest of our pitching staff. So I totally agree. It's like you've got nobody that's totally fearsome in the lineup.
You need a face of your freaking team. You need a guy that everyone goes, wow, that guy can freaking hit.
So your positivity is that hopefully something positive will happen. I appreciate the optimism, Cap.
And I think
You went straight to the accounting.
Turned out to be a monster.
Who?
Cade Horton.
Kate Horton. Yeah, we got some guys coming. So, well, I know your son's over. I know you have dinner waiting for you and your family. And I love seeing your husky dog. What's his name or her name?
Sparky.
Sparky. Hell of a dog name.
I got Sparky and
So
Stanley.
whenever you're yelling at people,
We just lost Yoshi a few weeks ago, but we still have Stanley and Sparky, and we're having smash burger tacos tonight.
Oh, very nice. Well, enjoy that. And, we'll talk to you again, I'm sure, soon. And thanks. Keep the podcast coming with you and Gordo, because it's my favorite thing to do is to listen to you guys argue. It's just wonderful.
We go at it. So it'll be fun. And I look forward to seeing you guys. And if you do your deal at Michael at was it HVAC? Is that where we were at last year?
Yeah.
Let me know.
You're back,
We'll all
baby.
get together.
Thanks for coming on, Cap. And
All right, thanks for having me. You guys have a great night. Keep it up.
thanks, brother.
Yeah, thank you, Cap. Have a great winter.
So
He's the best.
He really is. No, I love Cap. I unfortunately work at the same time that he's doing his show, so I can never have it on. You know, I'd have to listen to it in pod. But him and Gordon Wittenmeyer, especially now that Gordon works for the Reds and doesn't have to like be a fake Cubs fan.
It's so weird to see his tweets. Does it throw you guys off when he's talking about the Reds? I'm like, it's weird. It's weird to me.
It's like, why does he keep tweeting about Ellie De La Cruz? Oh, right, because he's in.
Yeah,
exactly.
New job. So, I'm just gonna throw this out there. Is David Ross the right manager? I saw this on Bleacher Nation the other day, and it cracked me up. It was I don't know who photoshopped this. Great job, Michael. Yeah, I spit out my coffee. I was like, bah! And of course,
This is beautiful.
For the podcast listeners, it's the end of Dr. Strangelove, when that cowboy soldier is riding the bomb to start basically the end of the world. And David Ross's face is photoshopped on that soldier. But what do you think, David Ross? What and would there be anybody better that you could see the Cubs going with?
It reminds me a lot of the entire conversation or lesson we learned with respect to Wilson Contreras versus like Yan Gomes, let's say. So, and the point there being, Wilson Contreras was, a hitting catcher, right? And then we sort of learned along the way that a guy like Yan Gomes, who theoretically shouldn't hit as well, but receives better, calls games better, manages a pitching staff better, all of those soft factors that we kind of dismissed over the years actually mean a lot. So then I look at David Ross and I look at someone like Craig Counsell, just because his name's, I'm just using it as an example. Everything that you hear from players, like publicly or privately, or people around the team, they all talk about David Ross being like the guy for the teams in the clubhouse, for the players. And they want to play for him, they play hard for him, and he gets the best out of them. And it's like, okay, I'm trying to believe that matters, because on the flip side, I fundamentally disagree with the moves he makes in games very often. And it's like, that stuff is just so much more visible. That's Contreras hitting home runs. Him in the locker room is Yan Gomes managing the pitching staff. And it's like, I'm trying to remember that there's stuff that we can't always see or understand or know. But if he fucking calls for a bunt one more time, like, I'm going to lose my mind, because it's so easy to not do the obvious stuff wrong. Like, and to put a button on that, and then I'll let Luis do his version of it, is like, I don't think his bullpen management is his biggest flaw. I think the bullpen kind of sucked for most of the year, and he just kind of did what he had to do. The lineups, the playing time choices, the bunting, that's the stuff that really irked me. And it was like, I'm starting to get to a point where even if you are this outstanding clubhouse manager, player manager, guy, then you're negating that value by making poor decisions in the game. So bottom line, I don't think he's going to be fired. I'm not out here calling for him to be fired. That might change a year from now, but it's not right now. But also, if they were to go get Craig Counsell, I also wouldn't be heartbroken by it. So I've softened immensely from where I was. And it's because of a lot of roster and in-game decisions that just are wearing at me.
What do you think of Ross? The Ross GPT, I call him.
I love that, by the way.
So here's the thing about David Ross. It's one of those things that a Chicago sports fan should be very familiar with, in that the players like him. He's not the worst manager in the world. I'll live through Tom Trebelhorn. I'll live through Mike Quaddy. I'll survive David Ross. Now, I think of David Ross the same way I used to think about Lovie Smith. Like, could the Bears get better than Lovie Smith? Sure. But don't fire David Ross if you're going to take, Will Venable, because you're going to be going through the same thing with a first-time manager. You're going to be feeding him all this information, and it's a whole new thing. I think David Ross can be a good manager and the right manager. I think he might need a better bench coach. I think he needs someone in that clubhouse like, hey, don't bunt, or hey, maybe don't use this guy in leverage situations. But some of that stuff was who's in that bullpen. Daniel Valencia throws hard. I love Cap, man. He nailed that. Like, Valencia throws hard, but you had no idea where it was going. This is Latino Ricky Vaughn out here. So I think of Ross and, like, if Craig Counsell becomes available, go get him. If Buck Showalter says he wants to manage the Cubs, I'd think about it. But other than that, man, you can do a lot worse. I know a lot of people pining for Gabe Kapler, and I saw the Eno Saris tweet from The Athletic where he was talking about how he kind of rides his players. It's just like, man, that's not what this, like, these players got ridden hard, and that's why that's one of the reasons they collapsed. Like, you don't really need that. You don't need that with this team next year.
It did seem like he forgot to use his fresh legs. It seemed like he forgot that some people were on the team. Like,
you know what pissed me off about that too is so, like, did PCA look good? No, no. But I still think he should have played and played differently than he did. And then Canario is another one of those guys that was hot, and it's like maybe he would have been exposed eventually. But how many times do we need to see a prospect come up and before the book is out on him, have a red hot 2 weeks before anyone figures him out? It happens every time, like almost always. And we could have used that for the last 2 weeks of the season. So it's like, let him go hit 5 homers until they figure him out, and then take him out and whatever. Like,
what kills me was that he saw Joe Madden do that. He saw Joe Madden ride hot waves. He saw Joe Madden use Javi in a way. It was like, Javi's not going to start, but he's going to get in the middle innings. He's going to get a couple at bats. And so you're going to get the bat. Maybe you'll run into a homer, but you're going to get good defense. I don't know why he didn't do that with PCA or Canario, because I'm just like, he saw how this worked with a championship-winning team. Just like, why didn't you do that?
Meanwhile,
he loves veterans. I mean,
he does love veterans a little too much sometimes. Here's my issue with the manager thing. Everybody's calling for David Ross's head. I don't think that's the issue. I'm done with the Jed Hoyer experiment. Like, I'm done. He's been here for the entire Theo run and now for his own run. It's not like he just showed up and we still need to give him more time to figure it out. I personally don't believe he's doing a great job of maybe evaluating exactly what he's got right at the time, like bringing up the right guys at the right time, stuff like that.
Well, it seems like there's a cohesion.
I wonder if that's a problem that he has with Ross as well. Maybe they're not on the same page. I almost feel like if you get a different upper front office and David Ross stays, you might actually have a better situation than if you fire David Ross and continue on with the same.
Well, you're really talking about changing things fundamentally, and that is
absolutely. But I want to know. I want you guys. This is your chance to tee off on the noob over here talking shit about Jed Hoyer, because lots of people like to do it. I want to give you guys a chance.
Let's add Jed Hoyer to the bitch clock wheel then. And I'm going to put Luis in the hot seat first. And we're going to start the bitch clock yet once again. But first, here we have to take the wheel out here. I've got to get everything situated here. So I will add Jed Hoyer to the list here in case you get him. I don't know if you feel like you could bitch about him, Luis.
Oh, I think I can.
But let's take a spin of the wheel.
Round and round she goes.
Okay, what do we get? Oh, the bull penis terrible. It looks like we're going to come up with the bull penis terrible. Are you ready, Luis?
That's right.
Clock, you have 30 seconds to bitch.
Of all the years to put together a shitty bullpen, Jed Hoyer picked a really bad year to put together a shitty bullpen. All those years where we were selling, and you had Michael Givens give you a good half year, David Robertson give you a good half year before selling. Where were those guys when you needed them? Where was this year's David
10
Robertson?
seconds.
Julian Mariano was good. Edward Alzolay, they wasted way too many bullets in no leverage situation. What a waste of a year.
Stop your bitching.
So it seems to me that you had a little bit more of a problem with the bullpen management than even Michael did.
Yeah, I had issues with that
Yeah.
bullpen management.
You know what the biggest thing is? They were lucky they stumbled into Albert Alzolay being the closer. What were they gonna do without that happening?
That's true.
I mean, seriously, he was the third guy they tried.
Didn't we say in 2019 that was a potential? Like, if he doesn't make it as a starter, he's got.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Why did they wait so long?
No, that's not my point. My point is they got into this year. It didn't work out with Michael Fulmer. Keegan Thompson was gone. Cody Hoyer was a closer to be. He was gone. Boxberger, they tried. It was like Mark Leiter Jr. ended up being like a late. If Albert Alzolay didn't take the step forward, we all thought he could do it, but it was not the plan. If you look at the beginning of the season, he was used in low leverage, multi-inning appearances. He was not part of the closing plan, and they stumbled into that. So that made them look even better than they were lucky. You know what I'm saying? They lucked into that, and it wasn't great.
They're
guys like us saw it. Why he was their best look. Like, it took a couple low leverage. Like, okay, like let's get Alzolay up there, and they kept rolling him out for these 2-inning blowout appearances. Like, why?
Yeah, that's my point. And
Luis, when you were ranting, it made me think about something. You reminded me of all these guys that had those good first halves, and then they moved on. But if I remember right, a lot of those guys didn't go on to have good second halves with the team that they went to, and maybe
Robertson did.
Robertson did, but
Gibbons didn't.
Guys in the first half, you could have won some more games in the first half that you lost, like that Houston game.
Yes. It just makes me wonder, like, maybe the plan went right. They just didn't get rid of those guys at the trade deadline, and then we got it.
Well, the Marlins games too. The bullpen blew early on in the season. It was that horrific May. A lot of bullpen at the end. Of course, the epic collapse of September was a lot of bullpen. But Michael,
Brandon Hughes too. That's another name we haven't brought up, and that was the guy they were supposed to, be a big deal this year.
I can show you real quick, and just the sheer amount of number of people. This is everybody that pitched out of the bullpen, including
Miles Mastrobuoni is funny at the bottom there.
It's so small that you can barely even read it.
Tucker Barnhart, 4 innings.
4 innings like that. That does not bode well for your season. Julian Merriweather leading. This is sorted by innings pitched. 72 innings. That's a lot for a guy that you didn't even know was going to make the team out of spring training or not. So I do want to. We have to take it to commercial break, but before we do, I want to put Michael Cerami in the bitch clock seat. So I'm going to share my bitch clock screen, and anything you want me to add to this bitch clock. We have Marquee Network. Ricketts is cheap. Bullpen is terrible where they did. Not playing the kids. David Ross, we talked about. Run differential. September collapse. We got anything to add here
on Marquee?
Whatever. I'll bitch about anything you got.
Let's see what we got to bitch about. All right, we have. Ooh, I like this one. The September collapse. All right.
Clock, you have 30 seconds to bitch.
You can't blame the tiredness of your key players as a primary reason for the collapse of your team when you refuse to otherwise rest those players at any point throughout the season, despite clear evidence that they are not at their best or the best versions of themselves, or evidence of other players taking rest earlier on in the season, like Seiya Suzuki coming back healthy and more effective. Dansby Swanson played way too much. Ian Happ, Nico Horner, they all played way too much, and that's what led to the collapse in September. Man, 30 seconds is hard.
Amen. Amen. Well, it used to be 60, but I didn't have time for that. I got like 15, 20 guests coming on this show.
That's a lot of time. Yeah.
I'm like, we got to do 30-second bitch clocks. I mean, Sarah Sanchez alone could do 15 minutes and never stop. Like, she's incredible. But so I know I completely agree with you. Can you guys hang out a little bit longer?
Yeah.
Or do you got to go? Because if you got to go, you got to go. That's fine. But I'm going to do a commercial, and then I'm going to bring Crawley on. If you guys can do another 15 minutes altogether, I'd love it.
I can do it.
I I can't do it. I'm getting eyes
I
already because
understand.
the baby's trying to sleep.
I understand. Well, then I got to play you your outro music before I play the commercial. So, Michael, thanks for coming on. Luis sticking around. So, but it's great to talk to you. I'll see you, I'm sure, this offseason. We'll definitely party a little bit. But I miss doing a show with you. And so it's fun to do even a little one a little bit. So here's a blast from the past, a theme song, and then a commercial, and we'll be right back.
Outside the ivy, coming out of Wrigley, rooting for the Cubbies. Outside the ivy, outside the ivy, outside.
All over Chicagoland, there are thirsty, frazzled, overworked Cubs podcasters who are struggling to survive one more baseball season in the dog-eat-dog world of unpaid content creation. But it doesn't have to be this way. You can make a difference. Become a super ranter at patreon.com/sunranto, where your support ensures that poor, sad, pathetic, ugly, loser Cubs podcasters can pay for tickets and beer, and in turn line the pockets of the baseball oligarch Ricketts family. Just $1 a month can buy a scorecard. $5 a month can pay for guitar strings to write a Cubs song. And $10 a month almost buys one beer at Wrigley Field. Cubs content creators are the lowest pieces of pond scum garbage that slither over the face of this planet. But super ranters help them get drunk and screw off at baseball games. What do you get out of it? The Sun Ranto Show delivered to your podcatcher without stupid advertisements like the one you're seeing and hearing right now. Plus, at other Super Ranter levels, you can get Cubs music, access to private Sun Ranto pages, the Ranter calendar, and special thanks and Ranter recognition in our live broadcasts. Plus, eligibility for monthly prizes. What does Sun Ranto get out of it? Your money. For tickets and beer. Go to patreon.com/sunranto. That's patreon.com/sunranto. And become a super ranter today. Welcome back to the Sun Ranto Ranter Roundtable Autopsy. We're here. I'm Danny Rocket. That's Michael Cotton to my right.
Over here.
Luis Medina from the Bleacher Nation blog is here. And
Bleacher Nation's Taylor Swift expert is
expert. Yeah, we got to talk about that a little bit. How, dating a football player. How do you like that?
Yeah.
Hashtag chance in the chat to win a Frank Chance postcard sent to you by me. And welcome our co-host, Infield Fly Girl.
Hi, everybody. Did we share what we're drinking today yet?
Yeah, what are you drinking?
I am drinking some boxed wine because it's cheap
I haven't seen the
and not very good. And when it's all over, you don't feel good.
Sounds like the Cubs.
I really wish those boxes had that little straw, like in the sun, Capri Sun, and you just stabbed it in there and just sucked it out of the straw. That'd be great.
Well, we did that in college. We engineered one just like that. That's what we did.
Well, I'd like to bring on a good friend of ours, former co-host of the Sun Ranto Show, always here in our hearts. It's Crawley. I know the day after of the season, the Cubs don't play anymore, is always a tough day for Crawley. From the Fly the W podcast, what are you drinking and nursing your sorrows with?
Spotted Cow.
Of course. It's a good call.
From our abandoned trip to Wisconsin, I brought some home.
Yeah. By the way, I have switched to Everything Rhymes with Orange IPA from Rough Tail Brewing.
Ooh, that sounds fun.
So it is actually really good. I got it down in New Mexico or Oklahoma. New Mexico, Oklahoma, the same place, right?
Somewhere out west.
So I would like to talk about.
What's yours, Luis? Hold on. He was showing it, but I couldn't quite see it.
It's Harold's Honey Ale.
Oh, yeah, by Jay Westbrook.
Yeah.
The Black Beer Baron, Jay Westbrook brewed that stuff. It's absolutely amazing.
It's a top 3 beer for me.
Hold on.
Nice.
It's really incredible. And they have that on tap, I believe, at a couple of breweries too.
Yes.
So I want to talk about the hitting, the Cubs batting, and I'm going to put up really the guys that led the team.
We
for
lost
the
you.
Cubs. So homers, it was Belly. He's probably gone. Then Bellinger led in batting average. OBP was Tachman. OPS was Belly. Strikeouts, Swanson actually led the pack with that, which is a little disconcerting. Hap was really, I think he was 6th most walks in the majors, 99 walks for us. Tachman had the best walk to strikeout ratio. Horner stole the most bases. Belly, 97 RBI, leads it. He also scored the 2nd most runs, Horner did. So really between Horner and Bellinger, with one of those guys being gone, what do the Cubs have next year without Cody Bellinger?
Problems.
Big problems. I mean, and not only that, it's just, I mean, you didn't know coming in that he would have this massive resurgence, and he's definitely going to be the comeback player of the year. And so, I just imagine, Scott Boras walking like Scrooge the Duck, counting the dollars, getting ready, because that's going to be a big old payday. And I really don't see the Cubs being in on it, to be honest with you.
Even though it's a position that they need. I mean, we saw what PCA did when he came up. It looked a little bit overmatched by hitting. Maybe needs a little bit more time to cook, or at least somebody to back up and take meaningful at bats if he can't do it. Also, a first baseman the Cubs don't seem to have either. So, I mean, even though he fits the mold and the way he fit it this year, you don't see that happening, Crawley?
Nobody's going to like to hear it, but San Francisco got left at the altar with the Carlos Correa thing, and they just fired Gabe Kapler. They're going to want to make a huge splash. And then the Yankees, I mean, if you read anything about New York shit, they're pissed off. And then I'm always scared of Big Daddy Steve Cohen coming in and just swiping in and grabbing whatever he wants. So, I mean, do I think the Cubs are going to, be in on it? I'm sure at a certain point. But, Danny, you and I have gone to Club 400 and they have those auctions. And at a certain point, you just step back and let those guys swing at it. I would be very surprised if the Cubs end up with Cody Bellinger on the team. That would be surprising to me.
That'll be disappointing if he's not. He's great center fielder, great first baseman. And really, honestly, I know it's not a popular opinion, but if he's just your first baseman moving forward, I'm not going to complain. Like, I had Grace and Derek Lee and Rizzo. Through my lifetime, the Cubs have had great first basemen. They have not had great first basemen since Rizzo left, and it mattered this year. There were games where defense at first base mattered, where Patrick Wisdom or Jamer or Mancini or even Hosmer, if you had Cody out there at first, you'd maybe win a couple more games, and we're having a playoff conversation and not an autopsy conversation.
No, I'm not saying it's not going to happen. I'm just a sad drunk today.
Well, what else is new?
I mean, I just started drinking, and I'm with you. I feel like the Cubs will put enough rumors out there that the bloggers will be able to say that they tried really, really hard, but that they got outbid by another team that wanted it more.
Well, I mean, look at this WAR list here. I mean, he was 4.4. This is B WAR. 4.4 B WAR. Dansby and Horner were above him in WAR. And then it falls off pretty significantly with Happ at just under 3, Suzuki under 3, overall, Tachman as well. So, I mean, how do you replace that and sell people you're competing? If you're not going to show up for Belly, there's Ohtani is out there. I know that, we would all like him on the team. I mean, what will they do? They can't say they're competing and just hope that PCA turns into the rookie of the year, right?
I mean, what concerns me is that the free agent market to me looks real weak, weak. And I just think that like literally it's like Ohtani at the top, no doubt. And then you go right down, you got Bellinger, and then everything else is a steaming pile of shit. And literally it's going to be everybody all in on those two guys. And that's it. And that's, I wish we've been around long enough to know that they're not just going to write a blank check. Not going to happen. So, what's going to happen, I don't know. But I do want to say hi to the Ranters because I love these guys. They're absolutely amazing. And I saw that Blue Dabs 420 had some interesting things, talking about how Cody prefers to play center fielder, and that's something to keep in mind too. And just just some other things, man. And the idea that the Cubs need a 40 home run corner infielder. I was so impressed with how Seiya finished the year, minus that missed catch, the Brant Brown moment. But in general, when I was on the show, I'm not a big Ian Happ guy. I thought the extension was a mistake, just considering what they had in the system, what I was looking at in the farm system. And so, to me, I felt that Ian Happ this year, taking a step back, both with the bat and the glove, really hurt the Cubs this year, in my opinion.
Yeah, and left field that's kind of one of those positions that you can kind of move guys in and out of just to get the bat in there, right?
Absolutely.
That it doesn't have to be necessarily the best fielder in the world. That's nice when you have one, but still, you're just looking for like a second DH or something like that out and left. And with Happ, you get the switch hitter batting third, and then when he bats righty, he's under league average player. So it's only good from the left side. So yeah, I agree. It's kind of like taking up a little space. I want to bring another voice into this conversation, and that's my co-host on the Cup of Cubby Blue podcast and part of the Bleacher Bunch network. If you're not subscribed to that, you should be. The Bleacher Bunch is where you get all your Cubs news. Also, Fly the W and Bleacher Nation. We got everybody here. We all get our news from each other. Actually, I get the news from you guys, and then I make fun of it. Is really what happens. But Sarah Sanchez here. Sarah, how do the Cubs improve themselves offensively next year? Is it going to come from the rookies? Is it going to come from the free agent market? Is Big Daddy Ricketts going to write a check? What's going to happen?
They need to spend money, and I'm not sure they're going to spend money based on the comments that were made at the end of the season. I mean, they're talking about Tom Ricketts' interview on the game yesterday was basically well, we like the spending levels where they are, and we're going to stick with that. And I'm like,
we don't.
The spending levels where they are won 82, 83 games. So that seems like it's going to fall a little short. This team is nowhere without that whole Cody Bellinger hot streak in May to August, literally nowhere. And you pull Cody Bellinger's bat out of that lineup, it's a 400 win percentage team. So I'm not entirely sure what the plan is, but spending at current levels can't be it.
You don't believe in Mike Tauchman, Sarah? Is that what you're trying to say?
Dude, I love Mike Tauchman more than anybody this side of Wilson Contreras. And no, I do not think Mike Tauchman is going to save the Chicago Cubs. They need a center fielder. They need a first baseman. They probably need to re-sign Jeimer Candelario. They definitely need at least two lefties in the pen. And they might lose a Stroman or a Kyle Hendricks, and then they're going to need a pitcher too. So I really don't see how they keep things at current spending levels and get better.
I think that the other thing about losing Cody Bellinger is that I think that if Taylor Swift was to date a Cubs player, Luis, I think it would be Cody Bellinger. And so I think that would have easily pushed the Cubs up to the 3 million in the attendance mark if Cody Bellinger would date Taylor Swift.
She would absolutely be failing if that was her choice. Christopher Morel all day long. If Taylor Swift is dating somebody, it's Chris.
By the way, I'm trying to manifest the Cody Bellinger thing. I'm wearing a Cody Bellinger. Remember on 420 when he hit a ball 420 feet? And he looks high all the time. Well, our friends at In the Clutch made this great high time spoof shirt. So he's got to resign just to make this shirt worthwhile.
We got so many Cody memes that went unused this year. I need him back.
I need him back too. I think he makes this team better. I mean, I've been saying for months now, you can't spell Bellinger without RBI. That dude was clutch in the middle of the lineup. He has been unbelievable, and he plays great defense at two different positions. And I do not see the Cubs. I think Luis said this a second ago. Maybe it was Crawley. I do not see the Cubs spending the money that it will take to get Cody Bellinger away from the New York Yankees or the San Francisco Giants And I'm not sure who
Or
else
even
they
the
can sign
Dodgers again. Like,
or trade for that will
Yeah.
have that kind of impact on this lineup. And I'm sorry to all of the prospect people out there. I do not think Pete Crow Armstrong or Matt Mervis can replace Cody Bellinger.
Yeah, no, I don't want to see. With all due respect to Matt Mervis, I don't want to see 500 plate appearances of that guy. From what I saw last year, that wasn't it, and I don't see where it gets better. Because
I don't even care about the plate
they would brought him
appearances.
back up.
I don't even care about the plate appearances. He can't hold his own defensively. Like Cody Bellinger, when he finally got his opportunity, and I'm going to call it an opportunity, whether he wants to play first base or not, he's a damn good first baseman. And sometimes you just got to tell a player, this is where we need you, right, Nico Horner? And, but he goes over to first. He could be an all-star over there. He was hands down. It was easy to see that he was the best first baseman on their team. They had tried Mancini, Hosmer, Mervis, and Young before they got to him.
Well,
And
who
he
do you,
was better.
if not Bellinger, then who? Like, that's just it. You don't have somebody coming up if it's not going to be Mervis. And I don't know. They didn't bring him back up, so it seems like they weren't high on him. Maybe he can play his way onto the team at spring training or something like that. Or, but if that's the plan, none of us are going to be for it. It's
Hayden
dangerous.
McCreary.
Yeah, well, and then you've
Hayden,
got
who?
well, and then the other question, of course, is third base, because we got a lot of people talking in the chat. It's Madrigal seemed to be the guy that you went in there with every day. And
I'm sorry, we have a third baseman.
Chris Morel, I think should be the third baseman. Here's my
hold on. I see Luis rolling his eyes on the Christopher Morel.
I love Christopher Morel. I don't think he's ready to be an everyday third baseman. I think he's best in the hobby role. Me and Danny have discussed this a bunch. You can start him at second, third, short, all the outfield spots, DH, a different spot every day. You don't even need to start him. Bring him in the middle innings.
But you saw what they did with Nick Madrigal at the beginning of this season. Did you think Nick Madrigal was going to be a good third baseman?
He's still not a good third baseman.
Well,
He
true,
was
but I mean, he
adequate
was
at his position and didn't make errors, but he also didn't make like stellar plays all the time that we were like, "Whoa, that was great."
See,
if he sees a baseball field 25 times in a season, he yanks a hammy.
Yeah, exactly. No, I think Christopher Morel has because of who that guy is and what he does. I do believe he's got the opportunity to be that guy that makes these big plays. I think he'll also be the Javi that sometimes doesn't make those plays. But I think if you just give him the opportunity to play the position that he came up playing, he'll be better than Madrigal. And they let Madrigal play every damn day.
And Patrick Wisdom got some starts over there at third base, and he struck out a bunch and he hit, and I think he was second in home runs with Morel. So out of that third base,
Morel was at 26 with Cody Bellinger.
With Bellinger, yeah,
and he played in 23 less games. Than Bellinger.
Homers went Bellinger with 26, Morel with 26, and Wisdom with 23, and so pretty basically one out of every 8 times that Wisdom.
Morel is Aramis Ramirez. Morel is like
Whoa,
he is.
All the Latinos on the call.
That's some blasphemy, man.
I'm telling you.
I have an idea. How
Morel's
about
your guy? Aramis Ramirez didn't get there by not getting to play third base.
I love me
That's
some
the night leaving
Christopher
the Pirates.
Morel. The bat is special. The swing is sweet. The power is exponential. He is not Aramis Ramirez. Like Aramis Ramirez is whatever the tier right below Hall of Fame is. That's where Aramis Ramirez lives.
The Hall
And
of very
Christopher
good.
Morel aspires to be an all-star someday.
But he can't get there if you don't allow him to do it. That's my problem with the situation, is that they just won't let him play the position. They let a weak-armed second baseman with no bat power play there all year long, and he got better. He got way better. He
went from 5 crow hops to 3.
I have an
He may
idea.
not be good, but he got better. And a guy like Morel, I think he could actually become special. And it drives me nuts that he's a good enough athlete. He can play any place on the field except for the one position that he came up playing.
It still drives me
doesn't-
nuts that that Magical got a bobblehead before Ian Happ. What the hell?
You don't even like you.
I couldn't give that thing away. I tried to give away a Madrigal bobblehead at a Bleacher Bum Band show, and whoever won it left it there. And then I'm like, oh, come on.
We
And
need
then-
we need a bobble hamstring for him, like where his leg just wiggles.
It's like
Oh, I like
Operation.
Yeah, no, they got a cool. They have a Wilson Contreras that Myrtle Beach did that has the little arm with the Wilson beach ball. You can do something like that with
also
his
left-
little leg hanging.
Yeah.
I have an idea. So here's my thought. How about we get Christopher Morel and Patrick Wisdom and Nick Madrigal, and we stick them all in the lead-on season and see who lasts a month.
Ooh, that's fun.
I saw you put the starting. I saw you put the whatchamacallit,
The roster,
the yeah. I was very excited. It looks like a lot of Cubs and former Cubs on there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's just one team. Now there are 6 teams. So, but I follow the Aguilas Ibaeñas, and they've got Christopher Morel and his baby brother. His baby brother Rafael was their first round pick this year. Starling Castro's there. Aramendi Alcantara is there. Pedro Strop is in the bullpen.
Oh,
It's
nice.
going to be so much fun.
Oh my God. I just found what I'm doing all winter long.
Exactly. Aguilas fan over here.
I
no
ran
doubt.
into Rafael Morel in spring training, and I started talking to him thinking it was Christopher because they look so much alike.
Yeah.
It's unreal.
Well, at least when you spoke
can I-
Spanish to him, he understood it.
Yeah, he was much better than Michael Hermosillo.
It's like no habla inglés, bro. Sarah,
I'm from Canada, dude.
Sarah, you are the queen of the bitch clock, and we got to do a little bitch clock, and I think, and then we're gonna bring on a couple more guests. We're gonna let Luis go, so we got room on the screen for all the people. But first, we're gonna do a little bitch clock with Sarah. Sarah, here, I don't know if you saw the categories earlier, but there's quite a few. Hopefully, we don't get any repeats here. But tell me when to spin.
Yeah, go ahead and spin it. I thought Cap did a pretty good job, though. I was like, I don't know, man. Cap might be coming for the crown.
I would love to see you versus Cat bitch clock off. That'd be great. Ooh, I don't know if you want to do this one.
Oh no.
North Shore adult diapers.
I'll take the challenge. That's fine.
Okay, all right. I like it.
Oh.
Okay, are you ready?
Wait, hold on. For the podcast listeners, North Shore adult diapers just came up on the bitch clock.
Yeah, I got it. I got you.
Here we go.
Bitch clock, you have 30 seconds to bitch.
The craziest thing about this Cubs season is that the most entertaining part of all of it was watching how Pat and Ron were going to read the North Shore adult diapers ad every time somebody walked for all of your control needs. And unfortunately for the Chicago Cubs, they got to read that ad a lot because there were walks in all of the worst situations that you can possibly imagine. Why is that? Because
10
Jed
seconds.
Boyer lost his ability to build a bullpen this year. And I think a lot of it has to do with misunderstanding the new pitching rules, but I hope they can fix that next season or we're going to hear that ad a lot.
Stop your bitching.
God,
Well done.
she not only like rips into the thing, but she also hits it right on the number. Like when it's like she stops and then they say stop your bitching. Everybody else has been like kind of like going over it, like you're fighting with the end of it, and you
That's why
nailed
she's
it
the
every
queen.
time.
That's why she's the queen.
It's amazing.
Cap was really good though. Like I might have to bow down to Cap. Cap was really good.
You know, the thing that it was funny about the North Shore diapers thing is that it totally ruined a Hall of Fame broadcaster's call for like a good year, until he figured out that I could just fuck around with this and make fun of it. But I always thought that walks were was inappropriate to be sponsoring diapers. It really should be runs, don't you think?
Hey.
Just saying.
Don't give them any ideas, Danny. It's already awkward enough.
Yeah, well, the Cubs don't score a lot of runs. Crawley, how about you in the bitch clock? Are you ready to take a spin?
Yeah, let's take a spin. But man, North Shore adult diapers, that's a good one.
Let's see what we get. Round and round she goes. Where she stops, only the bitch clock knows. Oh, this is good.
Oh, Cubs Twitter.
Nice.
Crawley, all over the Cubs Twitter. This is perfect for you.
Is Braves Twitter on here?
Clock, you have 30 seconds to bitch.
I can tell you one thing about Cubs Twitter. I've never seen a bigger whiny bunch of bitches in my life. Everybody's trying to top themselves to see who didn't quit first. Congratulations. You're all just blowing smoke up your own asses. Really, if you really want to care about a team, then go to games. Stop doing it virtually. I understand if you don't live there, but how many of you people that kind of put pictures and all that stupid
10
shit up there don't even go to a fucking game or never drink a beer at Wrigley? Go to hell and quit your fucking bitching. That's my bitch clock for you.
Yeah. Oh, he finished with 1 second. He's like, that's all.
Stop your bitching.
Just early, you take points off for that.
No, I don't know. Like to drink a beer after
the drink was good. That was good.
after,
That was good.
after tearing down Cubs Twitter, like pretty. I'd say that was a nice teardown.
I
too.
will say after that rant, Crawley, there is a guy in Iowa somewhere with one tear rolling down, going, "I can only go to 20 games a year."
Oh, and he takes people's seats. But you know what? Hey, go to see Alex Cohen in the Iowa Cubs. The Des Moines, man, the city, the S's are silent, but the city's buzzing.
Because they have a problem with their power structure. I don't know what's going on up there.
So we're going to take another quick break, and then we're going to say goodbye to Luis. Luis, thank you so much for coming on the Sun Ranto Ranter Roundtable Autopsy. You're just one of my favorite people in the world, and it's always fun to talk Cubs with you.
So always a pleasure. One last Christopher Morel note: 37 home runs in AAA and the majors this year. Maybe we should give him a shot full time.
I'm telling you, Luis.
I'm open to it.
Christopher Morel's my guy.
I'm open to it.
So we'll be right back. Hashtag chance in the chat. We'll be right back.
Stuff. Hey, Cubs fans, at Amazon.com, do you buy lots of stuff? Why not support the Sun Ranto Show by shopping through sunranto.com/. All you gotta do is fill your cart at Amazon with lots of stuff. Then before you check out with all of that wonderful stuff, head on over to sunranto.com/ and click any of our Amazon links before you buy your stuff. Check out like you normally would with all that beautiful stuff. And the Sun Ranto Show will get a small kickback because of the stuff you bought. And you'll be helping the Sun Ranto Show buy all the stuff we need to stay on the air talking about the Cubs and other stuff. Plus you could win a monthly prize if some of your is chosen for Amazon stuff of the month. And if you win, we'll send you more stuff. Sunranto.com/ that address again is sunranto.com/ stuff.
Hey, Danny, I just want to thank you for not putting me on at the same time as that bastard Eric Wheelo.
Oh, he'll be on at 8:30 if you want to stick around.
Jesus Christ. So he started like tagging me on all his anti-Cubs shit. And then all of a sudden I got like this other Milwaukee comic. I thought that bit was taken.
You're fucking lucky that Danny didn't give you his phone number or give him your phone number. I get texts from this guy now.
I did. I gave Eric Wheelo Michael Cotton's phone number. Because Michael texted me. He's like, "Did you give Wheelo my number?" I was like, "Yeah, sorry." So
I get L
real
flags
quick,
like all the
I'm
time.
just going to interrupt if I can. I'm sorry. I had a really great question show up in the chat. We just mentioned that a bunch of Cubs are going to be in Leadom this year. Dominic Galora wants to know how you can watch those games. It's so easy. Used to be a whole thing. You had to like buy a subscription. They're right on MLB TV. Now, you can't watch them on a delay. You have to watch them live for reasons. But they're on MLB TV, usually on at like 6:30 Eastern time. And that's every day but Thursday. They take Thursdays off, so everybody's nice and rested for the weekend. Sunday
Wait, they take one day off a week?
Yes.
Who had an idea like that? I don't know.
That would be every major professional league on earth except for MLB.
Except for Major League Baseball.
And also
Japan, Taiwan, and Korea don't play on Mondays. Leadom doesn't play on Thursdays.
Yeah,
Fucking
very cool.
brilliant.
I love those games. And if you're practicing Spanish, like I'm always practicing Spanish, it's a great way to learn Spanish too, because they call the games in Spanish. So,
And if you are a member of the Sun Ranto Patreon supporters, you, my friend, could be a part of us watching those games. If you're having a hard time finding them,
maybe we could find them for you.
we'll throw a few up on our feed so that you can listen and watch with us. But it's going to cost you a little bit, but it's absolutely worth it. It is such a good group, and we do wonderful things like this. And our season doesn't end on October 1st, 2nd.
Second.
I'll tell you, I am impressed with the MLB app now. I think MLB is 100% worth it as far as all the minor league stuff, all
Absolutely.
the Latino baseball and stuff like that. It's like, I'm like,
it's great for everything except for actual Major League Baseball.
With the blackouts and everything. Yeah.
I mean, that's the only thing that it can't really do.
Did y'all see yesterday? They just like were waving blackout stuff. They're like, yeah, we're just gonna let everybody in the state of Michigan watch Miguel Cabrera's last game. And I'm like, okay, that's great. And also, you can do that and you don't do it more often. Like, what is this?
Yeah. Well, I would like to bring another friend and voice, great Cubs blogger. He runs Cubs Insider, where they amalgamate all of us, all the podcasts that the Cubs, that the Sun Ranto Show puts out, and many other Cubs podcasts. And here's Evan Altman from Cubs Insider and The Rant, also known as Patio Dad. Evan, how are you holding up after that disappointing Cubs season ended?
Man. I mean, I felt like I wanted to kind of have hope, but given all the circumstances that were there, I'd pretty much given up on it after that first loss to the Braves, regardless, because, after they won, it didn't even matter. So it just kind of, it felt like when my grandmother died, she had had Alzheimer's and was in a home for many, many years. And so then it's like, all right, this kind of sucks, but at the same time, like, she's not in that place anymore. You know what I mean? Like, we knew this was coming for a long, long time, and now it's just the finality of it. And the Cubs, this whole month of September has been this death march. So I was like, I don't want to watch this team in the playoffs.
So it's like September was basically hospice for the Cubs.
Yeah.
Is kind of what you're saying.
Yeah,
Nice.
except they didn't get to come home. They just stayed out, but it's probably better for all of us at the end of the day, because watching this team in the playoffs with the bullpen the way it had fallen apart and with the effort that we were seeing from them, to have played the Brewers, and had they been actually eliminated in the postseason by the Brewers, like, it's bad enough we got to hear from all those idiots anyway. Like, it would have just been that much worse. And so, good riddance.
Crawley didn't want to go to the game Sunday because I'm like, come on, let's just go. He's like, I don't want to go up there to hear their mouths and stuff. And I was like, that's a good point. I didn't end up going either.
It was 90 degrees. I had a cooler full of beer and I was on a pier. I could go there, or I could listen to a bunch of cheeseheads yapping at me.
Exactly.
Fair.
Easy choice.
Yeah. So, but can we talk about some of the starting? We talked about the hitting. We haven't really talked about the starting pitching yet too much. I'm going to put up some numbers for the Cubs starters this year. This is overall in the major leagues. They were 14th in team ERA. This is just starters at 4.26. They gave up the 11th fewest homers, so they kind of kept the ball in the park a little bit. They had the 11th fewest Ks, so, we knew that, pitch to contact staff. 6th fewest walks, which to me was a little surprising, considering, how some of the starters seem to do. Sometimes it felt like they were walking more people, but apparently other starting staffs walked a lot more people. 13th in innings pitched, so right in the middle is average there. And they were the 6th worst in baseball, with 7.78 Ks per 9, and 6th best with walks, 2.55 walks per 9. So not a lot of strikeouts, not a lot of walks.
Well, when everybody throws 92 miles per hour, that's what happens.
Well, yeah, not a lot of strikeouts. So you're not blowing it. So when you look at Stroman likely to opt back in, you look at what Steele surprisingly did last year and almost with the Cy Young campaign. You look at Tyone, the disappointment of Tyone, and whether you think he can come back stronger. You look at Assad as a swingman or a starter. You look at what Jordan Wicks did as a rookie. And Evan, I'll start with you. Like, what is your opinion of this Cubs staff moving forward, and who might they add to it?
I mean, I feel okay. Like you put the stats up there. They were fine. They were, as one might say, perfectly cromulent. And I think a big reason, you talked about the walks. Like Justin Steele cut his walks way down. Like that was the most impressive part. He was so much more efficient. Tyon looked good at the end, right? In the middle and at the end, not so much at the beginning.
The further he got away from how Pitch Lab was going to help him fix himself, the better he got.
Here's the thing. What I want to see, I'm cool with them tinkering with the young guys as they come up. Cool. You drafted this guy, tinker with him, teach him some stuff. Stop messing with veteran pitchers. Every time they do that with somebody, it gets in the dude's head or something else happens. Like you signed the guy for 4 years and whatever many million. Let him do what he did to get you to sign him. Stop messing with him, because I think Tyon got in his own head. But the thing that worries me, though, is if Stroman comes back, Ricketts seems to be indicating that they're going to pick Kyle Hendricks' option back up.
Kyle, yeah, I didn't mention him too.
Yeah. But again, you're essentially saying we're going to run it back with this staff that doesn't miss many bats, that is going to give up contact, that gives us very little margin for error. If they do that and lock down those five, they're not going out and spending big in a trade or in free agency on a big-time pitcher unless, and I can see this happening, Stroman opts back in and they try to flip him somewhere and just trade him and open up a spot. Be it for a big free agent, be it for Cade Horton, whatever. But whatever they do, I need a guy out there who throws 95 plus and can actually strike dudes out. Because how many times did we see that? Even Steele running up against his innings limits there he was way, way over his previous innings high. And there were just games when he didn't quite have it. And he's not a big strikeout guy. He's put up big numbers at times. A couple times he had some good games, but it just wears you out so much if you can't get through 5 or 6 innings, because a team like the Braves is just going to beat your ass. They need somebody who can go out there and miss bats. I don't know how they get them, but that's what I want.
Evan, another thing that kind of piggyback on that is that how many of those guys, when you talk about Tyone and Smiley and all these guys, only could get through like the 5th inning, and then what do you got to do? You got to dip into that bullpen, and then you saw what happens at the end. They were used so damn much; they were gassed.
Well, part of that was that they only used the same 4 guys.
Yeah,
same 4 guys. Yeah,
Quas pitched, and I didn't even check. At one point, he had pitched in 26 of the 50 games for which he was active. Right, he missed a couple games because of the bereavement list, but from the time he got activated, 26 out of 50, and at one point he was like 8 out of 10 games. Like, hey, Grandpa Rossi, this is not one of the guys that got you here. You don't have to play him every day. He even Dansby Swanson.
He even started a game once. They even had him. He did. Look at, I'm putting up the starter stats right now on the screen, and you could see there Jose Cuas did 0.2 innings. He wasn't a very good starter, only got the 0.2 innings, but yeah, they used Smiley was out there as well, and I assume, I don't know what they're going to do with him at this point. They had moved him to the pen. Is he still on the team next year?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought so.
And he's making a lot more money because of how much they used him this year.
Right. And so, Caleb Killian was another one. Hayden Wisniewski got a start as well, and so you've got these guys kind of on the back end depth of things that you were wondering if they would be starters. They got moved to the pen, and is that a cricket?
I am hearing a cricket as well.
That's probably
it's a
me.
Country boy over there.
Yeah.
I'm like, am I boring somebody? It's like, no, that's an actual cricket, bro. So anyway, it'll be interesting to see. I agree with you that I think they need a lot more, and they need somebody to go to the front of the line of that staff, like a real ace that can throw 95, miss a bunch of bats, and slot everybody back. So that depth at the back end is really just depth and not who you're counting on down the stretch like we saw the collapse in September. I want to bring on a couple more voices here. We have from Swirsky Sports, Alex Pat, great friend, and from, I'll say it right, CHGO, otherwise known as Chuggo. It's Cody Del Mendo from the
Cody hates us so much.
Cahugo. How do you say that?
I don't hate it I don't hate it coming from you, Danny. I don't hate it coming from you.
It's
Well, yeah, I guess Cody doesn't hate it, but I feel like there might be some people he works with that do.
So
it's not the first time. It definitely isn't the first time. When the first time Danny said it to me, it's like I'd already heard it like 7 different times from 7 different people. Anyway.
So let's talk about the pitching. We were just talking about and Alex Pat, say hi to everybody so we know which voice is yours.
Hello.
So let's talk about the bullpen. We were just there. Obviously wasn't enough. They only went and got Quas. Cap brought it up right at the beginning of tonight's show that the Cubs basically got half pregnant. And you can't get half pregnant. Like they didn't go all the way and do enough they didn't do enough. Period. End of story. They didn't get enough bullpen help. They didn't get Jamer Candelaria wasn't enough to really move the needle on the offense. So,
Jesus, Danny, with Evan's Alzheimer grandma and the half pregnant, you're putting weird images all in my head on this show, man. What the hell's going on here?
This is the Son Ranto show, not the Fly the W podcast where you keep it straight. We're going with pregnant dead grandmas here. That's what. Grab another beer. So yeah, where is this pitching help going to come from? And if you're going to add the Ross into this conversation, do you think that could have gone differently and better? We'll start with you, Cody.
Oh man. Well, that's a lot to take in. So how are they going to fix the pitching? That's the first question?
How are they going to fix it? And why is it David Ross's fault?
Wow. Wow.
To paraphrase,
is the bitch clock on? Do I get more than 30 seconds here?
We'll get there.
Man, I was listening before you guys let me in, and I agree with Evan. They need more swing and miss, and I've said that the last handful of weeks on our show. Where are they gonna get it? I do feel like they are still going to try and push some of these guys from within. And that was kind of one of the things that really frustrated me about the entire year is I felt like they didn't do that. Despite the fact that they were in it, I still thought this was somewhat of they were still going to develop more this year, and they just didn't. At least in my opinion. I know they threw out they tried to develop Wesneski and Palencia and a handful of others, but I don't know. I just felt like there was more they could have done from within at least. And but as far as outside, I do feel like they need to go get more swing and miss. I think they need a high end starter, top 1 or 2. And then I just think they need more bullpen help. But I know how, based off the history, I think that they're going to go get guys for the bullpen that none of us have ever heard of. And then they're going to try and turn them into Julian Merriweather. And, we'll sit here, probably criticize it. And then hopefully they prove us wrong this time. The good from this year in the bullpen, basically it was Julian Merriweather and Mark Leiter, but they just used them way too much. So that's why I'm saying they need more depth. And, you can't use the same 4 guys the last month of the year, right? Why not use Luke Little a little bit? I'm not saying you have to throw him out there every day like you did Jose Quas, but that's probably what frustrated me the most the last month of the year is they just threw out the same dudes every day. It was insanity, man.
To be fair, Cody, Barnhart got 4 innings.
That's fair. That's fair. So
Alex, besides the what Cody just said about needing the more swing and miss and not just riding your arms into the grounds, are there any names that you would have liked to have seen the Cubs either go after at the trade deadline that they didn't get or promoted from within, guys that you maybe would have liked to have seen come up and help out?
Well, there's something that I've been saying since the trade deadline. And if you were to ask me specific names, I think for me, it's less than specific names to bring in, but it's more of an idea. What do a lot of contending teams do at the trade deadline? Well, I say they buy innings. And what I mean by buy innings is you're just going out and bringing in arms, regardless of how their stats look. I mean, you can go out and bring in the cheap Matt Moores and the Lance Lynns and these veteran guys who might not necessarily be putting up the best numbers, but you're just essentially buying innings right there because they'll give you something. And I think there is a very underrated value of doing that kind of thing. You look at a guy like Matt Moore, he was kind of passed around this year. That's like the kind of guy where you can look at and say, okay, that's kind of a guy that you can buy and get innings for. I mean, remember a few years ago when the Cubs, I know he was terrible, but like you remember the days of like Holland and didn't they have the one
Derek Holland?
Yeah, I know he was
Jesus.
bad. Might not be the best example, but wasn't it Garcia, the guy that used to be on the Cardinals years ago, the starter? Jaime Garcia. It's and they brought him in and he pitched some innings. So I think that they could have gone cheap and just brought in some innings eaters. And I do think that would have made a difference because then you would have had some guys not have to pitch. I mean, I saw Jose Cuas every day. I'm like, is this like when Joe Madden was pitching Steve Cishek every day and his arm was
thinking
falling
the same
off?
thing. I was thinking the same thing. It's like every time I saw Cuas, I thought, if somebody throws below shoulder level, are you allowed to just throw them as much as possible?
Well, yeah, and Scotty Efros last year.
Yeah.
That they burned him up to the point that he broke when the Yankees got him because he was pitching so frequently. But it was funny because I tweeted that out. I was like, Jose Cuas is to David Ross what Steve Cishek is to Joe Madden. And like nobody got it. And they were like, yeah, but Cishek was good. And I'm like, that's not the point, morons. The point is just for me to run out there every day regardless.
And it was always when there was a fire. Like if there were two guys on, one out, bases loaded, two out, and you were in the fifth or sixth inning, Ross would dial up the phone and say, bring in Cuas, and Cuas with his arm at the end just dangling like this because it was so worn out. It actually, I was only 4 years old during the season, but, I go back and rewatch the seasons and everything. 1998, I think, didn't Rod Beck just pitch an insane amount of innings that year? And by the time they brought him into the game 163, he was throwing like 70 miles an hour. His arm was so dead. So
I don't remember. I was 4 years old too.
Yeah, sure. Okay.
I mean, I honestly thought you were saying that you were 4 years old when this season started. And I thought, man, this has been a tough season on you.
It's been long. It's been a long season. And frankly, I feel like this season felt longer than some of the others because when you look back at when we had Eric Hosmer in the lineup, that felt like a year ago to me. That didn't feel like the same season. Crazy.
Can we just talk about the fact that the Cubs basically missed the playoffs by like 2 games and Eric Hosmer played in way too many games for that to be a thing? Like, I know everybody wants to, like, and I know nobody on this call would do it, but like everybody's like, oh, Seiya dropped a ball, Hap dropped a ball, whatever. It's like, no. Eric Hosmer played way too many meaningful innings.
Thank you, Sarah. Thank you.
He dropped the ball with the roster.
Way too many meaningful innings for the Chicago Cubs. Tucker Barnhart played way too many meaningful innings for this team.
He at least had positive WAR.
Pathetic. And
Luis
honestly,
Torrens
on the
took up
front
a
office
spot.
and David Ross, man, like you put these guys out there for like 30 plus games. Imagine if you hadn't done that, the Cubs would be playing in October.
Thank you.
How about if you would have played Alexander Canario more than 2 starts?
Dude,
He didn't get him there, Crawley. He didn't get him there.
Yeah. The amount of 6-0 leads that they blew, like leading 6-0 was their kryptonite.
Twice last week.
Nelson Velasquez comes up, hits a grand slam to tie a game, and then it's like, no, we don't have room for this guy. He had like 15 home runs for the Kansas City Royals after the All-Star break. All he needed was to play every day. You're telling me Ian Happ or Seiya Suzuki couldn't have used the day off while Nelson Velasquez hit bombs at the corner?
I was
very least you could have used
I
him as
wake
a
up every
DH.
morning and I thank God that they cut ties with Nelson Velasquez.
I said it
what
right
happened?
here on this
Yeah.
show a couple of weeks ago. I said, when we lose this playoff push by 1 game, these are the people who we have to blame for it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Was anyone in here? Was anyone here in the at Cubs Con in the bingo room when the Trey Mancini news broke, And the whole place started chanting Trey Mancini, and we thought we were literally getting ready to polish another World Series trophy, if anyone remembers that one.
No, I was definitely drinking at Lizzie McNeil's by the time the Trey Mancini news broke.
Negative 1.4 WAR, everyone, for $7 million.
Well, and we brought up how many games we lost by 2 runs or fewer. It was 42 of the Cubs' 79 losses were by 2 runs or fewer. So when you consider like just 1 more run, 2 more runs, a little more bullpen help, you can flip some of those around.
Lefty. I mean, y'all were talking about Matt Moore earlier. I'm like, Matt Moore would have been far and away the greatest lefty in the Cubs pen because they didn't have a lefty.
They literally didn't have one after
Yeah.
Hughes got hurt for the 50th time and didn't come back. Luke Little, except was he really in the pen because he was getting the Canario treatment of like, no,
He didn't get us there, man. He didn't get us there.
Well,
Why was he
Canario
not
treatment is a
pitching the
real
other
thing,
night?
and like I generally think that most of what happened this season is on the front office, not on David Ross. Like I think David Ross did an okay job with what he had, with one exception, which is that he does not play young guys. Like he is like allergic to putting Miguel Amaya in the lineup instead of Tucker Barnhart when all of the rest of us are like have eyes and can see that Miguel Amaya might be a plus in the lineup and Tucker Barnhart is a negative in the lineup. And David Ross is like, well, it's Tucker's turn. Got to give Tucker his old shot. I'm just like, if you can't tell the difference between Tucker Barnhart and Miguel Amaya, please go away.
Mm-hmm. Well, at least we know that you're not racist if you can't tell the difference between them.
Well, no, honestly, you might be right. I don't know that the front office recognizes that there are human beings on this team. All they look at is numbers and stat sheets. They could not tell you. They probably don't even have names associated. They have a player's position and a number.
And
so
a number.
They don't.
So they don't have.
Although I do
bias.
maintain, I don't think Canario was ever brought up to actually play. Right? I've said this a few times. I wrote about that. I truly believe they initially brought him up to slow down his playing time because of the rehab, the injury, and everything else. Say, hey, here's your reward, MLB paycheck for a couple of weeks because he got optioned back and only came back for the end because Jamer had to go on the IL. And at that point, then they're like, well, shit, I guess now we have to play him because we were going to play him in Iowa. And then look what he does. He gets 3 hits. He hits a grand slam. But as are the rules of the Cubs, if you hit a grand slam, you must sit the next day. Even Yan Gomes, granted it was because it was the last day of the season, but Gomes hit a grand slam, didn't play the next day. If you hit a grand slam, you must sit the following game. That's the rule.
Have to do it.
Now I'm looking right here.
Exactly how I ran my my 5-year-old soccer team. If you scored a goal, you had to come off the field for a minute and let other people play.
I like what Little Yumper has to said. He said, Little Yumper says, David Ross is the baseball version of Thibs. I'm going to go a little bit older school. I'm not 4 years old like Alex was in 1998. But somebody mentioned to me, they said, look, Ross is what was his name? Collins, the basketball. Oh, coach, God. Before the Bulls, Doug Collins. Doug Collins. He said that Ross is Doug Collins. We got to find our version of the basketball coach. What's his name? Phil Jackson. That I think that's 100% right, man. I think Ross is a really good guy that had some chemistry and got things kind of in the right direction. But I don't think he's the guy that's going to take us there. I really don't.
I don't either. Well, I think it's time to put some people in the hot seat in the bitch clock. Cody, I'm going to throw you up there first. Yeah, so I know you love.
I've been thinking about this all day,
and we got a lot of great. You missed your opportunity to get Cubs Twitter as somebody because I know sometimes that they could be a little much in your mentions, but hopefully you get something. I'm going to add something here. I'm going to Danny calling it Chuggo. Calling it Chuggo. Maybe that comes up. So here
Y'all
we
should
go.
just lean into that. It's a drinking joke.
Every time Danny calls it Chuggo. All right, here we go. Oh, well, you're gonna get Cubs Twitter again. Well,
no. You gotta roll that again.
I know. Okay. The bitch clock hates Cubs Twitter tonight. It's just like most of the.
Well, Cubs Twitter doesn't exist anymore.
All right, here we go. The September collapse.
Okay.
The September collapse is your topic.
Bitch clock, you have 30 seconds to bitch.
All right. This was the worst month of my fucking life. And that's probably an exaggeration, but for right now, it's the worst month of my life. It was insanity. Over and over. David Ross did the same thing. All I asked for was a little bit of different. Just something different. Use Luke Little. Maybe use Canario once or twice.
10 seconds.
Just something. Do something different. That's all I ever wanted. And if they still would have collapsed, then I wouldn't be here feeling like we just shit our pants as much.
Stop your bitching.
Could use some adult North Shore diapers.
Okay, yeah.
My favorite part was when you said as much. Shit our pants as much. Like we still shit it, but we made it to the bathroom to get the rest of it out. You know?
I needed more than
Fully
30
endorsed
seconds.
That
but
rant.
like,
That was great.
Ugh.
Everybody else has kind of been staying away from cursing and doing all the shit. I'm with you.
I can't hold myself back, man.
It's
This is-
actually
love it.
30.
I have a new suggestion for the bitch clock.
What's that?
The Cubs still have for season ticket holders. I have my tickets for the postseason.
Oh,
Okay.
They're in my phone. So every few minutes, I kind of look to see if they're still there. There's my tickets right there. There's right there.
I also have a suggestion for the bitch clock. Can we put montages and extra innings a la the Braves on the bitch clock?
Montages.
That was some bullshit. Like I'm still angry about it.
bullshit.
And every
Yeah.
time the Braves, like every time Ronald Acuna, who I love by the way, I think Ronald Acuna is the very best. Every time he does something new, I'm like, was there a montage? Got 73 stolen bases. Was there a montage? Like what was that 10th inning montage? Come on.
Wasn't there a South Park song that said
Twitter
montage?
is
you're gonna
super
need a
weird.
montage.
Braves Twitter
That
is
one.
crazy, y'all.
Yes.
What was
Alex
it from?
Pat singing the
Like the-
South Park song.
I just thought it was like Braves Twitter like hated Dansby Swanson, and I don't understand.
The
Like,
freaky stuff on Braves Twitter with Dansby Swanson, like legitimately freaky.
yeah.
Yeah, that was sad. Sarah really went through it during
Yeah,
that.
no, I'm good. Like y'all, I'm fine.
Well, I got Alex in the bitch clock seat. I'm spinning the wheel for Alex, and we're gonna see if we get something good here. Ooh, Mark.
I wish I would have got
Network.
this one instead.
Got the Marquee Network for Alex.
Clock, you have 30 seconds to bitch.
Let me tell you what's funny. The Three Stooges. Let me tell you what's not funny. Three-man boots. That stuff never freaking works. It is annoying. I don't want to hear random ass stories about random ass crap. I don't want to hear banter between people. I just want to listen to the game and listen to an analytical view. That's all. It's annoying.
10 seconds.
It's dumb. Stop doing it. Nobody likes it. Clearly your feedback is bad. Stop doing it. My God, stop doing it.
Stop your bitching.
I agree.
And no one wants to hear T-Max like nuggets every fucking inning. There you
And
go.
look, and split
I'm
screen.
all in on Alex's bitch there. I loved it. One note. You need to cuss more often.
I know. I'm actually kind of ashamed of myself
Yeah.
for not cussing more.
And can we do less family interviews when somebody's at the game or somebody gets called up? I don't care about your mom or your dad or any of that bullshit. Unless it's Evan's grandma, then that would be interesting.
Yeah.
That would, yeah.
That
We could
would
have a
be wild.
seance.
Evan pops in with the fucking cricket sounds. All right, we're
luck.
done with bitching
Yeah.
about Marquee.
So
Taylor
we've
would
got-
absolutely butcher the seance, just like in Evil Dead, with when Ash messes up the stuff.
Oh yeah.
She would, yeah, there's no way it would work.
Ratu Naratan.
Evan, I'm spinning the bitch clock for you. Let's
Oh,
hope we
boy.
get something good here.
Crickets.
Okay. It looks like you're getting montages and extra innings.
I'm so excited.
Yeah, we just added this to the bitch clock, and now you're getting it.
Bitch clock, you have 30 seconds to bitch.
If it's not enough that those fuckers in Atlanta have their racist ass chant, now they've got to go in and fuck the Cubs' chances by celebrating a round number for some dude to pick the base up off the ground and then stop the game for 30 freaking seconds. Now, if David Ross wasn't dumb and bald, he would have realized that he needed to walk Ozzie Albies following that.
10
He had your
seconds.
pitcher cold. and he didn't know what the hell he was doing. But in the end, I put this on the Braves because they're all a bunch of assholes and they deserve anything bad that happens.
Stop your bitching.
That was the perfect amount of cussing. Not too much, not too little.
Yeah, I
Very,
definitely went way
very nice.
overboard, but that's just what I do. That's my
10
thing.
10, recommend, agree with every word.
So
I disagree. I can't wait to hear the bitch collect that's nothing but cuss words.
Fuck.
Yeah, that's a New York Mets podcast, I believe. Alex, plug something. What do you got going on for yourself these days?
So read Fansided Cubbies Cribs, still writing for them. We got a long off season. That's probably the season that we get our most readers. So we'll be having our opinions on who we should sign, who we should trade for. Coming out soon, I have my letter grades piece coming out for all the position players.
Oh,
for
I'm
the
glad.
Cubs.
Hey, I'm glad you pointed that out because Son Ranto is doing that next week.
Yeah, Cubs grades next week, everybody.
Let's compare. We'll compare next week.
No problem.
So, and one other plug is Bill Swirsky Sports Talk Chicago, our weekly Chicago sports podcast. We spend the first hour of the show ranting about that stupid loser football team in town. Go listen to it.
Yeah, what's up with Chicago sports? My buddy Keith came up to me. He's like, man, the Cubs suck. The Sox suck. The Bulls suck. He's like, what's? I'm like, I don't fucking know. It's like feel like it's on purpose. I really do. I think they just hate us, and the billionaires think it's funny to shit on Chicago. Like
They'll take our money and they'll laugh at us.
Yeah. They just go to that place in Hancock that now closed.
The 95th?
Yeah, the 95th, and just they laugh at us from above. So, Cody, plug your off season. Is the Chuggo podcast going to keep going or what?
Oh yeah,
Everybody drink. I said Chuggo.
5 shows a week, and we don't stop, man. We go live at 1:20 Monday through Friday, or I think it's Monday through Friday, or it's Monday through Thursday. But Corey and Brendan doing their show on Sundays, I think. So
Right on. Yeah, the Cubs news doesn't stop. Well, it stops. You just don't stop. You'll just keep bitching about this season for another month.
Dude,
and then,
we did like today.
Never stop.
Today we did like our season review, and I still just find myself going back to bitching about the entire month of September. Like it's not even just the entire season; it's just the month of September that I'm bitching about. Even though I know that those to me the sole reason that they are not playing postseason baseball is a lot of what you guys have said, how things happened in April and May, and playing the guys too much and whatever. But yeah, it's been a tough week or two doing nothing but losing post games. So
yeah, we're all going through it together. Really, this is really like an autopsy wake. This is kind of like if you did an autopsy at the wake, which would be also weird.
Well, I'm about to be the drunk uncle at the wake because this shit they're just going down so easy.
Let the record show at 8:30 p.m., 24 hours after the Cubs play their last game, we have our first rumor from Bruce Levine talking to Matt Spiegel. The Cubs are going to, quote, do everything they can to trade for Pete Alonso, and added they would like to pair Alonso with Cody Bellinger. Let the Cubs Twitter madness begin.
What? Okay, then start your engine.
Why didn't they do that at the
2 days ago? Cody Bellinger wasn't coming back though, so
There's no way.
Do you remember when Pete Alonso was available last year?
Yeah.
For a trade? Like, I'm pretty sure they could have got him last year too.
Yeah,
The Mets never made Alonso available to my knowledge. I don't think.
Evan,
no, last year. I thought last year he was available for trades.
Evan,
Maybe I'm wrong about that.
Evan, plug your stuff.
Yeah, so Cubs Insider, I don't know. It's probably going to be a quiet couple days because I feel like it's best to let things breathe before I just launch into too much there. But just kind of trying to follow up on what's going on with what kind of happened with the season. But I want to quickly just turn and look at okay, here's some areas of need, maybe address a few of those things. So like I said, it'll be a little quieter for a couple days, and then probably by midweek or so, get back into the swing and get rolling.
Sarah, you and I on Cup of Cubby Blue. What else you got going on? I know you got other podcasts now.
Oh, yeah. I've been doing a fantasy baseball podcast called What the Fab on the Fans First Sports Network. I'm also doing a little bit of daily fantasy stuff with Sportstopia. If you're a daily fantasy type, check us out. We've got some really great daily fantasy advice for football as well as baseball. as far as Cubs stuff goes, I'm working on my Cubs fan guide to the postseason, which should be out tomorrow. Who you should cheer for or could cheer for, as the case may be, as a Chicago Cubs fan. And a bit of an ode to Mike Tauchman, who was my favorite part of this summer for the Chicago Cubs, and how I came to that conclusion. And shout out to Cody for the Summer of Mike Tauchman phrase, because that's definitely going to make an appearance or two in there.
It's
the
beautiful
best part of baseball is the part where a guy like Mike Tauchman can make your whole summer great, even when you never really thought about him prior to that season.
I was at the Reds game, and I texted Cody during it. It was like the double header game in the Friday afternoon, and Tauchman got a hit or made a catch or something like that, and the guy sitting next to me just stood up and said, "Summer of Tauchman," and I texted Cody. I'm like, "Dude, like it's here in Cincy. They're just yelling it."
I don't know.
Crawley.
I was just kind of drunk in my apartment one day, and I thought of it. That's just how it happened.
That's when the ideas come.
Yeah.
When you're wasted. Hey, Crawley from the Fly the W podcast, what else you got going on this off season?
We're going to have a whole bunch of fun guests. We just had Mick Gillespie talking about the Tennessee Smokies Championship. We got other people all lined up. So we got it's not as star-studded as this group right here, but we got some really interesting guests that are going to be coming on talking Cubs baseball. As you know, I don't give a shit about anything else, so I'm just going to sit here and mope and just kind of watch baseball wherever I can.
Well, I want to personally thank all of you for entertaining me all year on Twitter, on your podcast. I listen to everybody. I talk to most of you regularly throughout the season, and you just enhance my enjoyment of Chicago Cubs baseball. And I love hanging out with all of you, and I hope you have a great off season, and we'll get back to it again. By Cubs Con, Cubs caroling. I mean, we got lots to do still.
Cubs caroling. Thank God I'm going to finally be there.
That cricket is such a critic.
That's the last
when is Cubs caroling?
We don't know, but it'll be announced in the future.
We're still doing the preview, right? We're doing the walk.
It's December 16th this year.
Yeah, something like that. So
very close to that.
Don't listen to the drunk uncle at the wake. Listen to the cricket, and we'll be right back.
How does the cricket not have their own window with their tagline and everything? I'm sure the cricket has a podcast too, right?
Who doesn't?
Cubs cricket.
So
Cubs cricket.
Thank you very
much. Comes on every time they lose.
Thank you all for being here. We're going to take a quick commercial break and say goodbye to you. And we're going to come back with some very funny fans from all over the NL Central. So we'll be right back.
If you're like most Americans, you buy shit. Lots of shit. Sometimes you buy shit for other people. Sometimes you buy shit for yourself. And sometimes you buy shit you have to buy just to stay alive. So why not buy shit through the Sunranto affiliate? Links at sunranto.com/shopping. We've got tons of shit you can buy. Go to sunranto.com, click on the shopping link, then click our ads and buy shit. We've got Amazon. They've got tons of shit. But you can also buy MLB shit, NBA shit, NFL shit, Fans Ed shit, Southwest Airlines shit, Fanatic shit, Reebok shit, Wine of the Month shit, Beer of the Month shit, Bear Mattress shit, StubHub shit, Lid shit, Sports Memorabilia shit, Volcanica coffee shit, Vibrator shit, Condom shit, Bag shit, NHL shit, and Audible membership shit. There's a whole lot of shit that can help the Sunranto Show stay on the air so we can keep talking shit. So buy shit today through sunranto.com/shopping. Thanks. Cubs Jesus thinks you're the shit.
And we are almost all back. Michael Cotton didn't quite make it. I think he might be doing the drunk wake uncle thing and molesting the corpse. I don't know. Let's hope it's something not quite so dastardly as that. But IFG, you know what? One of my favorite things that we do on this show is talk to fans of other teams, and it's just, it makes me feel like we're getting like the story from the horse's mouth. Like
shit, Eric Wheelo's here, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. I did bring up a horse and his mouth, and here he comes. The Brewers fan, the only man who's going to be celebrating a playoff berth. Eric Wheelo's here. Welcome to the Sunranto Show. Also, Billy DeVore, who came in third place.
What's up?
Third place, Billy DeVore. We're also going to bring on Zach Funk, who the fourth place Pirates fan, also comedian out of Pittsburgh. And,
I still have the Phillies.
Oh, you're going for the Phillies now. Okay, well,
Well,
Pennsylvania.
I was a Phillies fan as a kid. I moved out here as an adult, so I've kind of got both.
Okay, well, all right. It's good to have two teams that just cover your bets. And then we have our favorite Cubs fan comedian, Joe Kilgallen. And welcome to the Sun Ranto Ranter Roundtable.
Hold on.
Autopsy.
It needs to be pointed out that there are no Cardinals comedians because Cardinals have no sense of humor whatsoever.
None. So, Eric Wheeler, we're going to start with you because you are you have the team that's going to the big dance, otherwise known as the postseason tournament. But so I want you to describe, and everybody, I want you to answer this question. I want you to describe your team as a car, a make, model, year, and condition of your car. What are the Brewers right now?
Oh man, we're like a 2020 Subaru Forester.
He didn't even go with a new car.
It's got all-wheel drive. It can get you up a mountain. It can get you over that hill. You can be a defensive driver in it. It's got a little speed to it. It's got some power. Not a lot of pop, but enough to get you by. And it's reliable. That's what it is. It's a reliable automobile. It's got a roomy back seat. We got a deep bullpen. You got a lot of storage. We got a deep team. Subaru Forester. That's these Milwaukee Brewers.
Your mother approves.
So the Cubs came in second place. Yeah, that's a very safe car. I'm surprised it's a Volvo. Joe Kilgallen,
BMW in Milwaukee. Come on, man.
Yeah, that wouldn't last too long. The hubcaps would be the first to go. Joe Kilgallen, the Cubs did come in second place in the NL Central, so I'll let you go second. Describe the Cubs in automobile form.
Jesus Christ. Fuck, I was hoping you'd do something different for me.
Here, I can help. I can help. So you know how my car broke down and I had to go buy a new shitty little car? What I got was a 1998 Nissan Altima.
All right.
It has like one kind of broken rear view mirror, and the front passenger side blinker doesn't work, and it kind of chugs going up the hill. And it's generally unpleasant to be around. That's the Chicago Cubs.
I think you're describing you're describing the Cardinals.
The Cardinals do even.
No.
I think I got it.
The Cardinals aren't even running at this point.
Yeah, they're broken down. I think I've got it now. I'm going to go with one of those, the cheap Teslas, the ones that are like 40,000.
Yeah.
Remember they made a cheaper model where everyone thought it was still like an awesome car, but then you talk to people and it's like, oh, it's actually a piece of shit car. And then you found out that certain people bought it just to piss off other people. But then those people got pissed off when that guy bought Twitter. And then it's just this angry thing. And then it's just like, wow, this thing sucks in September. And I don't want to ever drive it again. That's why
I saw a bumper sticker that said, I bought this Tesla before I knew Elon was a douche.
Yeah.
like who had that idea? It probably sells pretty well too, as far as bumper sticker sales go. I don't know if there's money in that, but
I'm in Seattle. I need to start handing that out to like 30% of the cars I see on my commute.
So, Billy, Reds in third place. A little bit of a surprise finish for them. What kind of car are they?
We are a 2023 X3 with the M package, baby. Ooh. We're sleek. We're sexy. We're going to last a while. We're going to be around. We can haul the kids. We can get you to soccer practice. We can definitely help you cheat on your husband. Look, the Reds are fun. Get on board while you can, because they're going to be good for the next 5 to 6 years minimum. And we finally, for the first time in a long time, have money to spend. So guess what? Harman Kardon speakers, baby.
Oh, I thought you were going to say like those lights that go underneath.
Oh, dude, that's standard in a 2023 X3 M package. Get on board, drunk uncle. Let's go.
Zach Funk, the Pittsburgh Pirates, coming in fourth place out of the basement. What kind of car are they?
I don't know a lot about cars, so I'm going to speak in generic terms. They're probably like a 12-year-old used minivan.
My family had one of those.
It's black. It has a lot of stickers on the back of it for both the Steelers and the Penguins, but nothing for the Pirates. There's a CD stuck in the CD player that is the best of Guns N' Roses.
Okay.
And it's the thing because it's all about like who are we going to bring up next? It's all about picking up the kids, picking up the prospects. And
just in time to drop them off somewhere else, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yes. How can we get them to where they're going to end up in the when they're grown up?
And it's got plenty of room in the front seat for a 6'9" shortstop.
Yeah. Also, the check engine light just keeps flashing off and on.
Sometimes it's off, and you're like, "This is good."
Not passing emissions.
Well, there was that first month of the year where the check engine light wasn't on at all, and then we had the check engine light the rest of the year.
So you're like,
you're a free agent. You're like, don't mind the light. It's fine. Everything's good here.
First half of the year, you had a 40-year-old driving.
Yeah, you're just like this car. You're on the way out, dude.
Yeah.
So, Eric, how do you like your chances in the National League here, going up against everybody? And I want to hear about how everybody else likes Eric's chances for his team, too.
You know, I really loved – I was really high on our chances before this Woodruff news came out today. I don't know if you guys all saw this, but he has a shoulder injury, and he gave a press conference. He's going to miss his wild card round against the D-backs. He got really emotional, which made me think, like, he might not go for a couple series, if at all, in the playoffs. This is the same injury he had earlier in the year that kept him out for a couple months. And he was our best pitcher going between Burns and Peralta. And to lose him, I mean, you need three guys to get through this run. So in this wild card round, not too worried about it. You get to the Dodgers, you got the 5-game series. It's just the deeper run that gets a lot harder for the Brewers here with this. I mean, you're putting all the chips in on Wade Miley. I mean, I don't think that's going to get it done. But with that said, one game at a time, we'll get through this wild card round and we'll go from there. And hopefully, you know, his arm's good in time to go on that stretch run here.
I feel terrible for you, Eric.
But I will say, seeing you guys lose 5 out of the last 6. Jesus
God damn it,
Christ.
don't bring it in. Let's focus on your things.
I mean, you came in.
Well,
I mean, you did it for us. You're getting swept by the Braves before you even walked in the door. I mean, Jesus Christ. There's people on this podcast. We're winning 5 of 6, and then you go out and lose 5 out of the 6. You hit a grand slam. Everybody's feeling happy, and you let the Marlins take you over. Jesus Christ.
It was brutal, and I know Joe can attest to that. I mean, did you see that epic collapse coming at the end? I mean,
I mean, he saw it last January, but maybe not in the middle of the summer.
As far as the Cubs collapse goes, I don't know. It was going into September. There was a lot of signs that maybe this isn't going to work out. And when I saw how rundown that bullpen was, I was like, we're fucked. We're fucked, you know? And so I just started to come to terms with it. I was unlike Cody. I love Cody, but like the worst month of his life, I'm like, you sound like you just became a fan 3 years ago. I mean, my God, like, dude, I don't know. I'm trying to be more like, again, this felt like a bonus year. And I have to remind Cubs fans, this season was the longest season I've ever watched as a fan, though. Whoever said, was it Alex who said that like Hosmer being on the team felt like 7 years ago?
yeah, Alex said that. Yeah.
Yeah. And man, see, there were so many ups and downs in this season that it felt like multiple seasons. So I think I went through every emotion I could. And I'm going to be in Scotland this next week. So I wasn't even going to see the wild card round. So I think that's what did it. I think the Cubs knew that they didn't want me. They wanted me to enjoy the sights of the Scottish countryside instead of trying to stream them in Edinburgh Hotel. You know what I mean? So they did that for me.
Well, and talk about a bonus year, like the Reds, they were supposed to lose over 100 games. And then they were almost in the playoffs. I mean, they only finished a game behind the Cubs. I think if you win that last game, you're in second place.
Well, if it wasn't for the epic collapse of last week as well, losing 2 out of 3 to the Pirates, losing 2 out of 3 to the Twins. I mean, here's the thing. Young kids got gassed. That's what happened. Andrew Abbott had a terrible last month and a half. Graham Ashcraft, his stomach fell on his foot and he broke his toe again. I mean, there was just multitudes of issues. Matt McClain was out for a month and a half, and he was the Pistons for the offense. I mean, he was the most consistent guy outside of Spencer Steer, which again, talking about two rookies who are going to be around for a while. So look, it sucks going 82 and 80, being 2 games out of the wild card, but the plus side is they're going to be here. They're not going anywhere.
Yeah, and Zach, you think your guys are going somewhere? That that you got some window open. Do you think your guy will ever spend?
I don't think. I mean, they're not going to spend a bunch of money in the off season. They might pick up if they find somebody who's a reasonable rehabilitation project. They'll do it. I feel like all of next year is going to be. The thing from The Simpsons where it's Bart and Lisa in the back seat just going, "Are we there yet? Are we there yet? Are we there yet?" It's going to be, is Paul Skeens here yet? Is Paul Skeens here yet? Is Paul Skeens here yet? That's all next season is going to be. It's just, when does he get here? Otherwise, the only major name we even have possibly as a free agent that might leave is Kutch. And I don't feel like there's going to be a lot of demand for him. He's I think maybe 37. And he's still a good player, but he's definitely past his prime. I imagine they'll try to keep him around just because the city loves him and he wants to be here too. Otherwise, I mean, the big thing for this year is just we did better. We weren't as bad as people thought we would be. That was the big thing. Is we were better than the Vegas, all the Vegas odds expected, because we had that first monkey paw season, first monkey paw month of the year. We were like, oh, we just want to have a really good start to the year. We don't care what else happens after. And then we had it, and then it was just death.
Well, and
that was surprising.
Yeah, well, the MLB Central was actually pretty darn competitive. We didn't really. The West had the Rockies to beat up on. In the East, I mean, who'd you have there to beat up on? Not really too many teams. Well, the Nationals, I guess, were pretty bad, so you could beat up on them. But the National League in general was more competitive, and I just wonder, the Brewers, the Cubs were 1 game behind the freaking Brewers a couple times this year, where I'm thinking we're going to take this thing over. And then they just, kept falling flat, and Grandpa Lossy kept throwing out the GPT lineups and wrecking everything. But Joe's shaking his head. He's like, he's a Rossi apologist. So go ahead.
I am a little bit. I am a little bit. No, sure, I am a little bit because again, we were 10 games under, and we went on this great run. And when we were 1.5 games back, that's the closest we ever got, I believe, to the Brewers is 1.5. Rossi was doing great. Would I have questioned a lot of his stuff in September? Sure. But then there's a lot of moves. I think because this is the closest we've been to a playoff spot in a couple years, and the way shit ended with the last core, we were even more devastated, even more pissed off, that we are definitely not seeing the forest from the trees with a lot of this shit. I hear people being like, I can't believe you put in Merriweather. Who'd you want him to put in? Yeah, they all suck. They all sucked. Once Adbert got hurt, it was shuffling the deck. And most of these guys have never had a good full season in their fucking careers.
Fulmer was hurt as well.
Yeah. And by the way, who turned Fulmer around? Ross, by sticking with him. Fulmer at least had a career of being a good pitcher. All these other guys I made up, I'm sorry, Julian Merriweather sounds like a fake player in MVP baseball, right? Some of these guys do. And we put them all together. Al Leiter Jr., all these guys that ended up having a good 3 months. But that's the best those dudes would do anyway. I'm sorry. That's the way I felt about it. And yeah, there was some moments and people were like, well, you can't blame Suzuki. I'm like, I'm not, but he also missed the ball. 2 things can be true. He could be the best hitter in baseball for 2 months and he missed a fucking catchable ball. Swanson could be the best shortstop in baseball and he didn't dive for a ball that he should have fucking dove for. Yeah. He didn't even look like he needed to dive for. Just put some effort in. You know what I mean? That one play. Remember that play where the ball popped up and it was right in front of him?
Oh, I do remember. Yeah.
He should have had that. I'm just saying that there was just so much there. That's all. That's only my point about Ross. I just feel like it's so quick to blame Ross. It's like nobody in that last segment blamed Jed Hoyer for signing Trey Mancini, who hasn't been good since 2019. Tucker Barnhart
we did that in the first section of the show. We talked a lot about it.
We did that all year long, actually.
All right, fair enough.
To be fair.
But since I wasn't here in the first segment, I do just want to take the opportunity to say that I think the best chance that we have had to sign Shohei Ohtani showed up right after he became a 2-time Tommy John bounce back project.
True. Cubs do love a Tommy
Yeah.
John guy.
That we are the team for that. That's
But
for sure.
Joe, I wanted to say, like, I'm with you somewhat on the Ross issue. People want to blame him through all this, and you may have already sort of alluded to it. But I was my issue is that I don't believe that Jed gave him the team that he could win with. And now, when the team that he had, he could have at least won the division. I mean, he honestly could have, but he didn't necessarily always do it right. But some of that was Jed just having guys like Trey Mancini and fucking Eric Hosmer on this team.
But,
So,
yeah,
I mean,
guys-
what do you think?
guys that
Are you
29
do you
other
hate
baseball
Jed
teams didn't
as
wanna
much as
sign?
I do?
I mean, I can't hate. Hate's a strong word. I'm not going to say hate. There's some
Well,
stuff Jed did
okay,
great.
I
Jed had
won't
some
hate
nice
him.
offseason moves. He's made some really strong trades, but I still don't know if Jed. My fear and worry with Jed Hoyer is, does he know when to step on the gas, like put it to the damn floor? Will he know when to put the gas pedal to the floor? Yeah, I mean, infield fly girl, your sentiment, I agree with at this point. I don't know if I see that in him. Say what you will about Theo, and Theo made some mistakes. And by the way, all the great ones have some ones where you were like, what the fuck was that move? You have, in order to win big, to win at a World Series, you have to be able to take some big swings. And if you miss, so what? But at least you have the stones to go all in. There's a reason the Tampas of the world always get close, but never get over the hump, right? Like, you have to be able to do that. And I just don't know if Jed's going to be able to do that. They're already putting out the feelers of, well, if it makes baseball sense, sometimes you have to not make baseball sense to win at the game of baseball, because the game of baseball doesn't always make sense. Someone
Absolutely.
clip that. That sounded awesome.
Yeah,
You're
you are
dead
right
right.
on. We will clip that because that was fucking beautiful. It's you're
Art.
as if you.
Thanks,
I mean,
Don.
you were
Love you, buddy.
already an honorary ranter. You should be a mainstay because that was exactly how we feel about
So
this shit.
speaking of kind of going for it, the Brewers really did add at the deadline. I mean, they went and got Chafin. They already had a bullpen from the gods. I don't know if Chafin's been doing any good for you, but
Yeah,
then
he's been dog shit, but yeah, that's a really bad example of somebody we picked up.
okay, but
Yeah, you could have gotten Mark Canna.
Yeah, Mark Hanna,
Josh Donaldson, right? You got
Santana. Picked up
Santana, yeah, picked up-
from
so
Pirates.
they needed a little bit more thump, and they got it. So they're going for it as best that they can. But I've wanted to give you a spin of. I know you got to leave. You said you only had
That's
a couple minutes, but I wanted to give you a spin of the bitch clock before you go. This one's a little bit different than the one we've been using already. This one is you just have to bitch about the Cardinals, the Brewers, the Cubs, the Pirates, the Reds. The White Sox is a bit of a well, I put that in there for Joe Kilgallen just in case you would get it. And of course, the wild card is Trevor Bauer. Trevor Bauer made the wheel. So we'll see what.
Come
we get.
on, man. Trevor
Yeah, well-
Bauer's out here.
We'll see what happens. So I'm giving you a spin of the bitch clock, and we shall see what we get. Okay, you have to bitch about your own team.
Oh!
Okay, I like it.
We swear to God, we did not
Clock, you have 30 seconds to bitch.
All right. So if I got to complain about my team, I'm going to yes and off of what Joe just said. You know, the Brewers make splashes, but we don't make big enough ones. We went up, we're rumored to go after Pete Alonso in this offseason, and it didn't come to fruition. I'm sick of being the good enough gang with the Brewers. The window's slightly closing with that pitching staff, and if there's one complaint, we didn't go far enough in, but we still went in far more than anybody else in the Central, and our asses are in the playoffs, and yours aren't.
Stop your bitching.
You just had to nail us at the end, didn't you?
God damn it.
And
I
yours
have
are-
to say, the bitch clock has been impressive tonight. Everyone is nailing it. Like the timing, everything.
There's a
That
pro
was
show.
very good.
This is an autopsy. It's a professional Cubs autopsy that we're at.
Wait, aren't the Mets about to make the biggest splash? They already took Stearns, and now they're going to take Counsell, and the Brewers are going to revert back to a poverty franchise?
Hold on here. A poverty franchise. We were 20th in the league in payroll, okay?
There are at least 9 other teams worse than
But
that.
I got an argument with Crawley over this shit. Poverty franchise. He keeps yelling at us like that's a dig. The fact that we are that low in terms of payroll and still continually end up on top. That should say more about your team.
I agree.
What I am 5 of the last 6 years, right?
No, what I'm
5 of the
saying
last
is
6 years.
revert. You'll go back. It'll be like 2002 all over again.
But it's not going to be, because we got a young team of young guys. We got like Abner Uribe, Garrett Mitchell, Sal Frelick, Joey Weimer, Andrew Monasterio, Jackson Cheerio, who's like probably the best player in the minors right now. And then you got William Contreras for a bunch of years. Like this, you think the Reds are not going to go away for a couple of years? The Brewers aren't going anywhere either, guys. Stearns transition. He wasn't the GM. It was Matt Arnold. So we're fine there. And he's been his protege, and he did have a hell of a job in free agency this year and within the season, which was proven, right? Council,
Is the bitch clock dinged yet?
he wants to figure it out. Council wants to figure out what he wants to do with his life. He prefers to stay in Milwaukee, and I see it happening. A run will probably weigh him that way a little bit more, but I do not see him going to the Mets. I don't.
Well, but also I can see how this Central is going to be really competitive, and that the Cubs, they're right up against the luxury tax this year for a 500 team. They're damn close.
They're about 50 million shy of it.
Well, what's the luxury tax?
The luxury tax got up to 230. Part of the new
now.
CBA. When it was at 210, it would have been closer.
Yeah, okay. So, but we're gonna be there soon. Like the question is, when are we going to go into the tax? Freaking Ricketts says we're not gonna really do it. Oh well, when that time comes, we'll see what we're gonna do. And Jed was talking about the other day. It doesn't seem like they're planning on going into it. So it's just like if you've got the Reds with a bunch of young talent, the Brewers with a bunch of young talent and a great pitching staff that's still going. Then you got the Pirates that are, if they ever add to that, they've got a bunch of young players. The Cubs, they've, what do we got? Dansby Swanson, we got where's our window in this world of a resurgent Central? That's all I'm saying. But Joe, I'd like to put you in the bitch clock seat if you're ready to bitch on the clock.
Let's go.
All right, here we go. I'm going to spin you. I really hope you get the White Sox. That's the only reason it's in here.
I just laugh for my 30 seconds.
Okay.
Close.
Oh.
Trevor Bauer.
Tread lightly. You can take a mulligan if you'd like.
Well, the only thing is I know he was trending on social media, but I didn't watch the video. There was a video of him. I didn't watch it. I could talk about him without. Would I have seen the video today?
You needed to see it.
Yeah, you need to see it. We'll give you a mulligan.
Okay, yeah, give me someone else. By the way, I used to love Trevor Bauer because he would lose to my team in the World Series.
He's the Cubs guy. Why don't we give him the regular bitch?
Oh no, we're giving him the White Sox.
There we go.
There it goes.
Yeah, thank God for mulligans.
Danny was going to spin that until he got White Sox.
Exactly.
Clock, you have 30 seconds to bitch.
I don't have much to bitch about when it comes to the Chicago White Sox. I want to thank them for being so shitty and for proving that you don't always need to rebuild. And rebuilds are kind of gifts to the owners all the time. You know what I mean? You guys all thought, oh, our rebuild, you guys had a 7-year window. We're going to have a 12-year window. We're going to win more than you. You didn't win shit. You sucked. Everyone hates you. Your mothers don't like you. Don't even go out for Halloween. No candy, no soup for you.
Stop your bitching.
Don't even go out for Halloween.
Hey, as long as we have a better record than them, I'm happy as a Cubs fan. Those are my 3 goals every year. Win the World Series, go to the playoffs, or be better than the White Sox. I get one of them. I got one of them this year.
Yeah, and the fact that the Cardinals suck too. I mean,
we
can all agree. Yeah,
that was great too.
So I'm going to put Billy in the bitch clock because and we had such a great year. We did that live podcast in Cincinnati. That was so much fun. The inventor of the Sky Rosa Malort luge.
Pretty awesome.
Yeah, pretty incredible.
He almost argued with you, and then he's like, "Oh, you're not done speaking."
I was just rearing up, dude.
the Sky Rosa Malort luge. What the fuck?
So we're gonna give you a spin of this bitch clock wheel, and we'll see what you get. I hope somebody gets the Cardinals too, because they deserve a lashing. Oh, look, I'm Cubstradamus over here.
Yeah.
Hey. Here we go.
Clock, you have 30 seconds to bitch.
Looks like the Cardinal way was a lot more fragile than you fucks ever thought it would be. You pieces of shit. Get out of town. Oh, look what we can do. Yeah, the Cardinal way is all the way to last place. That feels so good. Go take a toasted ravioli and shove it up your asshole, you dumb fucks. I'm so glad you're in the basement. You're going to be there for a while because guess what? Yachty's not coming back to fix the franchise. And Wainwright sucks dick!
Stop your bitching.
I love Yachty making an appearance was
Yachty
really
shot.
just like the, yeah.
Do you want to hear something great? I was just talking about this on my pod. Adam Wainwright gave up the most home runs to the Reds in his career. And the Reds had the highest average and highest OPS of 796. So I'm really bummed he retired.
Yeah, that doesn't
Thanks
bode
for
well.
your service.
Yeah, they announced today he's announcing the playoff games. He'll be a commentator on them. So,
He's going to be way better in the booth than on the bump at GABP.
as long as he's not singing, I'm into it.
Zach, I got you in the bitch clock. Of course we don't have a Cardinals fan to bitch. They've got nothing to bitch about. They got 11 rings, but I'm giving the bitch clock a spin for you, and you're gonna get the Cubs.
Oh.
I was hoping one of us would get this, but we bitch about the Cubs enough. So
Clock, you have 30 seconds to bitch.
Cubs, you could have had a better season, but you lost a bunch to the Pirates. That's all I have, really, is that you could have been better, but you were worse than us when it counted. That's how bad you were. The Pirates, that were supposed to be the worst team in baseball, you managed to lose to them a bunch of times when it was really important, and every time you dropped the ball like a bear would do, because a bear can't catch balls with claws.
Stop your bitching.
So
Brought in the Bears on that.
It's true. And the thing is, we had beaten the Pirates so much earlier in the year. And then when it really freaking came down to it, we couldn't freaking do it. It was
We were 10-1, and then we just fucking started dying.
Yeah.
So
Tell me about it. We went through it too.
yeah, you beat playing spoiler. Joe, what do you got to plug right now? When's the next time you're performing this month? What do you got going on?
Well, I'm performing at a castle in Scotland, but no tickets available. After that, I will be back in
Oh,
Chicago.
that was a humble brag right there.
Yeah, it was. It totally was. Yeah.
Sold the fuck out at a castle.
No denying it.
Performing for royalty, no big deal. Yeah.
No, it's just some old defunct castle. They got those all over Scotland, I think. They don't like the crown over there too much, actually.
No,
You seen Braveheart? I'll be at a show called The Blackout Diaries at the Lincoln Lodge, whatever the Friday in October is after the next one. That it's October.
I'll look at
Friday
it.
in
October
October
13th.
after the next
Friday the
one.
13th. Friday the
Ooh,
13th,
Friday.
I will be at the Lincoln Lodge for a show called The Blackout Diaries, which comedians tell like stories in which they blacked out and got really drunk. Also, just check my YouTube right there in my name, youtube.com/Joe Kilgallen. Cheers.
Nice.
Sweet, man. I love seeing your stand up. I've seen you a bunch of times. It's always hilarious. And if you haven't seen Joe, he's all over the place, and he's definitely in Chicago at least.
Oh, I will
every
be in
month.
Arizona for spring training. You
Yeah.
Cub fans, spring training, get out there March 22nd, March 23rd. I'll be headlining the Mic Drop Mania. It's a comedy club in Chandler, Arizona, about 12-minute drive from Sloan Park in Mesa.
Yeah. Go see Joe. What else do I have to say about that? And Billy, what do you got to plug?
Joe, if you don't walk into that castle and immediately scream, "I am here to view the tapestries," you're doing it wrong.
You're right, my man. I'm writing that down.
yeah.
Hold on.
Yeah, please do. I have a show in Cincinnati on Thursday at this place called Lost and Found. It's a unique venue where it is an encased patio and we yell onto the street. And we've got some tables set up. It's a super fun show. I have a new podcast coming out this off season called The Off Season with two guys who cover MLS. And we're going to have, soccer writers, baseball folks on, and hopefully some players, and talk about what their off-season routine is. So that'll be super fun.
Sweet. Zach, what do you got going on right now?
Let's see. Next big thing I've got coming up is beginning of November. My roommate and I have a YouTube channel. We do a lot of like video game and other nerdy stuff. And we every year do a charity drive called Extra Life, where you do a 24-hour gaming marathon to raise money for children's hospitals. So
very cool.
Yeah. So I'm putting that. I'll put a link to our thing in the. Okay, I said it failed to post. I tried to share a link.
We'll send it to us and we'll put it out there for sure.
Yeah. But otherwise, yeah, not a ton go. I'm working on getting some local shows booked. I just had a really great show this past Friday, but nothing too much going on locally right now.
At Z, the letter Z, Funk. Yeah, Zach Funk. So just follow him there. And Eric Wheeler, I know you got a new show going on. It's an NFL show.
Yeah, an NFL show, daily morning show with Kay Adams on FanDuel TV. It's called Up and Adams. We stream live on YouTube every day. And yeah, it's great because baseball started. So we're going to talk a little baseball on the show. We got Joe Poznansky on the show on Thursday. Check out his book, A History in 50 Moments, Baseball History in 50 Moments. It's great. And then if you're in LA, I'll be at the Ice House in Pasadena on Saturday.
Sweet. Well, you'll have a lot of time on your hands after the Diamondbacks take the first two games starting tomorrow, because we all know that, we're sitting here be like, oh, the NL Central, just really they battled each other to pretty even. No, it's because we were all dog shit. Like every single one of our teams was terrible.
But so are the Diamondbacks. I mean, come on.
They were surging at the end. I think you should be a little scared, Eric. I think you should be a little frightened.
All I needed them to do was beat the Astros.
I know.
Could have been happy about something.
Yeah. Tell me about it.
Love the shirt.
So I want to thank you guys all for all you do for, bringing the NL Central together with humor. And I don't know. I love you guys. You guys are some of my best friends in the world. And, I just appreciate you guys being here tonight. But we're going to take it to a commercial break, and then we're going to come back. Love you too.
Yeah.
But I've got a commercial here for In the Clutch, run by Billy DeVore. Actually, he works there, and so you should be shopping at In the Clutch. Also, a commercial for Cubs PS Plus podcast, because on the flip side, we're going to have Mike Waller on the show along with poet Sandra Marchetti, who's going to read some baseball Cubs poetry for us and lead us into the offseason in an artistic fashion. But thank you for being on the Ranter Roundtable Cubs Autopsy this evening.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks for tolerating us. Thanks for tolerating me.
All at once.
See you.
We are not tolerating you, Wheeler.
No, we're not.
All right.
If you like the Cubs a bunch, buy your t-shirts from In the Clutch. We've got all the best styles for you. Dansby, Saya, Morel too. Clark Fly in his W. Cody Bellinger, smoking deuce. Vintage shirts from days of old. Patrick Wisdom and Nico. You'll look sharp wearing your stro. 10% off with the code SONRANTO. SONRANTO. InTheClutch.com is your store for the most fun baseball shirts on the planet. Don't forget to use promo code SUNRANTO to knock a couple bucks off your purchase. Stack or die, we need more cups. Get it all at In the Clutch. Cause if you like the Cubs a bunch, buy t-shirts from In the Clutch. Get it all at In the Clutch. Get it all at In the Clutch.
And make sure you use promo code SUNRANTA when you shop at In the Clutch, because you get 10% off your entire purchase. So we've got just a few more guests to go. I do want to also mention hashtag Chance in the chat. You could win a Frank Chance postcard sent to you by me with a message of love and doom. A little bit more doom than love, I think, right now, but I'm feeling the love
So much
tonight.
doom.
I also want to mention that we have a brand new shirt from Obvious Shirts. So we are now part of the Obvious Shirts family, which I'm really excited about. I'm going to drop the link in the chat right now. I know that those started going out today. I invited Joe from Obvious Shirts to come on the show tonight, but he could not. But he said that they shipped out the first of their Ranter shirts to those that have ordered them today. So
Yay!
get one. Well, you can. I just dropped a link. It's
You know what? I showed that to my children this weekend,
Mhm.
and they both were like, "I want a Ranter shirt," which I was somewhat surprised by, but also touched.
Yeah,
I was-
I'm
they were
surprised
nice.
they're not embarrassed by you and don't want anything to do with anything. that
Very
you're doing.
true. I actually asked them if they would like to have, if I could get the Rancher one, and then maybe I'd get Rancher Junior and Rancher Junior. But they didn't want to go with that.
Exactly. Now you're being embarrassing.
No.
So, without further ado, I'd like to bring on to the show Mike Waller from the PS Plus podcast and Cubs poet laureate Sandra Marchetti. How you doing? Welcome to the show.
I'm
Mike
doing great.
Andy, hello.
Hello. I've not met Mike before, so this is fun.
Mike, Sandy, Mike. Mike is part of one of the new. He is one of the freshest new Cubs podcasts on the scene. He's got a great weekly show. I enjoy listening to him talk at 2 times speed, which is what I listen to.
Mike,
I listen to you guys too.
Yeah, Sandy, Mike is very much different than us.
Got it.
You and I have a artistic sort of like we try and create images out of words and beauty, and Mike Waller likes to just break everything down to ones and zeros.
Mike Waller
right, Mike?
has 1,000 spreadsheets, is what you're telling me.
Yes.
At his fingertips at any moment.
But not to
He
spoil
knows how to
anything.
create a pivot table.
Cotton and I are going to work on a collaboration this offseason. So
Absolutely. No, and yeah. And honestly, look, that's not in any way a negative. I think Mike Waller's I don't listen. There are a lot of people on this show. I don't listen to everybody's podcast. I listen to Mike Waller's podcast. It's good.
I
So
appreciate it.
that's look, I'm not going to come right out and say anybody's got, a better podcast than anybody else, but I will tell you what I listen to, and Mike Waller's one of them.
And I also read Sandra's book, Aisle 228, which was released just this year. I got to play one of the book releases, and I'm going to drop the link for that in the chat as well. You can pick it up on Amazon. Wait, I will get that link for you in a second. But how's it been going with selling the book? Are you still on book tour, Sandy?
Yeah, I'm still doing some events. I'm going to be in Highland Park in November doing an event, and I think I have maybe 1 or 2 readings lined up for the end of the year or something in December. I'm also teaching an online class with Word Crafters, which is it's a studio out of Oregon, actually, Tracktown, USA. But it's virtual. And so if you want to learn more about how to write sports literature, which is maybe a little different than sports writing, creative writing about sports, join the class. It'll be a lot of fun. And people can find me all over social media and find the links for those.
Sandy,
I
can I
just
get
dropped
that?
the link there too in the chat if you guys are
you.
following.
Yeah, Sandy, can I get that for free? Can we maybe do some where you and I just talk about that, because I write things and it's sports. It might be literature.
For you, of course. Of course. We can make it happen. Yeah.
So how much time did you spend in the ballpark this year? Were you in aisle 228?
Unfortunately I wasn't. The tickets that I have now are in section 208, as they renamed and renumbered everything, and of course 228 was in the box seats behind first base. And I don't know if I've told this story on here, but my father's friend, who was the season ticket holder for those seats, he after the 2014 season, he said, "This team sucks and I'm not paying for this anymore." My father and I, I was younger at the time, but we were trying to convince him, no, this is the time to hold on to them. They're just about, this team's about to, fly high. And he gave back the season tickets, and I don't know if he regrets it or not, but I sure would if it was me. So now we're behind third base.
That's one of the worst bad beat stories ever. Like you hear about like gamblers talking about their bad beats.
Yeah, it's a bad beat. That's for sure a bad beat. But all the comfort that I can take now is that I'm closer to Bleacher Jeff. And that makes me feel good.
Yeah, you can smell it from there.
I was going to say, you might be happy that you're not any closer.
I don't need to be in the bleachers. I mean, I know that's a no-no for this pod. I'm more of a box seats gal. Sorry.
I sit everywhere. I'm not just a bleacher guy either. I like sitting all around the ballpark, and I know I've sat in Mike.
I'm a right field bleacher guy, and everybody hates
now
me.
that's idiotic.
Yeah, I believe that.
That's
I believe
not
that
just stupid.
Right field sucks.
Yeah, right field absolutely sucks. And Mike, you sit on the third base line too, I believe.
Mhm.
Like
Yeah, 109.
Yeah, right, real close to where Sandy sits. So, not exactly how we wanted the season to go. I know we all kind of experienced it together online, on Twitter, on the Discord and stuff. I listened to all Mike's takes on it on Cubs PS Plus podcast. Mike, were you at all surprised how it epically collapsed at the end, or was it kind of expected?
I was surprised, but for a different kind of reason. Like you could see it coming. It was like a car crash in slow motion. But the one thing I kept hanging my hat on was I didn't trust any of the other people in the race to win their games. So
Yeah.
I thought the Cubs might make it in because the Marlins just couldn't win enough games, or the Reds couldn't get over the hump. And so that's what I was hanging my hat on at the end. But it really wouldn't have taken much, even as bad as they were.
They kept
Get one
getting
more
chances.
out.
Yeah.
You know, get one more hit, get one more runner in from third base. But it was, I mean, starting with that Brave series, it was just hit after hit. I think it was, I forget, maybe it was Cody, but gut punch after gut punch after gut punch.
Yeah, they looked so tired. They weren't, tag, like Nico stopped remembering how to like tag, and just like these dumb mistakes. Who was it that brought up Joe just brought up that ball that could have been caught by Dansby that was just kind of hanging up there in the air, and he just kind of looked at it as like, I'm supposed to do something here, but
the one that came off the pitcher, he had all the time in the world
all
to
the
get
time
that
in
thing.
the world.
Yeah,
And
bounced off that dude's shoulder.
I've never seen defense slump like that. Like it really felt like they were freezing up and slumping.
I think they were pressing so hard, I think.
Yeah.
That's actually a great point. Though the old adage is that defense doesn't slump.
Exactly.
And we
That's
saw
why I bring
that
it up.
horrifically.
Yeah.
and they just got tired, and it felt like also that they, just because they didn't have enough on the roster, too, that there was nobody that was going to ride in on the white horse and kind of save the season and save the moment, and like they just were totally out of steam. But not to bring it to with an awkward sort of segue to writing, but I know that there's times when you can slump as an artist and you just can't think of good ideas, and you have to fight through like writing a million shitty songs or poems before you come on a really good one, and you might have had to write all those shitty poems to write the one good one. So you said you were going to share a poem with us this evening, if not a couple. Sure. But would you mind
Hold on, Sandy, how many do you have?
I have two really short ones, and they're
Sweet.
going to serve different purposes.
Sweet.
Okay, would you mind if I jump in with one somewhere in there, either in
No.
between or
You want to
before,
go first?
or
What do you want to do?
well, that's what I'm asking. You're the guest. You can say before, after.
I want to hear
between, whatever.
Sandy's poem before your poem. That's for sure.
Yikes.
Okay, well, you Sandy, you have two poems, so why don't I go in between? And
I think that's a great idea.
so it's kind of a shit sandwich. The two good things are on either side.
Yeah.
That'll be for the audience to decide. Actually, Danny, when he asked me to come on here, he was like, can you write something about the season? And Danny has got to be like one of the most prolific artists I know. He writes all these things. He listens to all these things. He's consuming all this media. And I'm thinking to myself, I don't think Danny knows that I'm not him. Like,
I said,
but I did find some things that were apropos for the occasion. So
I asked her to whip something up. She's like, I can't. I'm not whipping something up. Like, just whip up a brilliant poem real quick,
right?
will ya?
Danny can do that. And many other people on this podcast. So, but here's what I've got. Okay, this first one is called Flowers, and it's sort of a choose your own adventure poem. You can fill in the blank for any Cub that might be leaving, might be a free agent, right? So I was thinking about Cody Bellinger, but it could be Kyle Hendricks or whoever you think might be leaving. Flowers. I surface after a deep hyacinth whiff and spot the snapdragons, electric lemon, and the ranunculus, so rosy but not a rose. They are there too, many thorned and lipstick bright, wide open floribundas. I tie a spearmint ribbon, saved for this occasion, and hand you the bouquet, knowing it will be my last chance before you go.
Oh my God, you just killed me with that thing. That's beautiful. That was amazing.
Very nice. Yeah, handing a bunch of flowers and saying goodbye to Cody Bellinger and next season all at once.
That was so seriously amazing. Like, absolutely. Let's throw the snaps in there.
So you don't think it's about baseball, but it is.
But I do think that I think when I went and saw Sandy read from her book, she said, "Don't snap."
It's okay. It's okay.
I think she was like, "Yeah, let's not do that."
I was personally asked, like they asked me, would you like us to snap or would you like us to clap? And so in that case, I said I'd prefer clapping. But if I'm not pissed, I'm not going to go postal if you.
It's one of the few times that snapping as clapping is acceptable. So, like, you don't do it anywhere else. Like, maybe we
I
should do
will
it
say that when she signed my book, she was like, "Fuck off with your snapping." It was weird. I didn't understand why she put that.
Well,
and then I told his wife to leave. Just really harsh.
Cotton, throw me your poem about your wife being asked to leave.
Oh God, that's a different poem.
His wife is lovely. I'm just.
All right. I'm throwing out the ivy fall. The ivy turns brown and falls from the vine, exposing the sturdiness of the red brick behind. Bright sun shines through the crisp cold. Wrigley is overcome by the ghosts of old. Legends, we are told, playing seasons gone by, memories echoing under the gray winter sky.
Very nice.
Wow.
I'm going to clap and not snap.
That was kind of my winter Wrigley poem.
Mike, you got a poem?
I do not. You do not want to hear that.
I think he has a spreadsheet he'll be pulling up, though.
Bill Sugas has a poem. There once was a fucker named Cotton.
Everything he said was rotten. I kicked him in the balls. I said, "You're killing me, Smalls."
And everything that he says, I've forgotten.
Perfect. There we go. Gubstradamus all the way.
So I would like to bring another voice out of this podcast right now. It's our friend, the prospect expert.
Oh no, hold on. We got one more from Sandy.
No, we'll get to the poem. We got to switch up. We can't just be all poems all the time.
Yeah, that was the last podcast we did where it was all poems.
Oh my God, I'm all into all poems.
We'll
Sandy,
go out with.
We're just going to do the Cubs poem podcast.
Look, Greg is wearing a poem on his shirt. We see that poem here? It says Iowa, Tennessee, South Bend, Myrtle Beach.
It's simple.
Is that a haiku? I don't know. I didn't count.
It's supposed to. I don't want to.
It's
I don't want
obvious.
to edit here where I shouldn't, but it should be Tennessee.
Danny, I noticed you introduced me as a
Tennessee
prospect
rhymes
expert.
with
I
Myrtle
prefer
Beach.
prospect nerd.
Well, you just be happy I didn't say pervert.
Yeah,
Because
there
that's
you
what
go.
I call
Yeah,
everybody
yeah.
else. Prospect pervert, Greg Huss.
And then you have Alfie Campos calling in.
So, it was we saw a few guys come up to the big squad this year. We saw Canario. He didn't play. We didn't really see him, but we saw him come in and learn how to sit on the bench. We saw PCA, who looked a little overmatched. Saw Luke Little at the very end. Saw Palencia come up and maybe do more than he should have been asked to do. We saw a bunch of out of this group of guys that you saw come up, like, just give me your general overview of what you saw that you liked, what you saw you didn't like, what you were encouraged by, what you were discouraged by. Where are you with this group?
Yeah, I think that it was a fun year to see guys. Like, we haven't seen this many dudes come up to Chicago as prospects in years and years and years, right? I mean, this is having all the guys you named, plus Jordan Wicks, plus Miguel Amaya, plus I know Mervis came up and he didn't perform well, but like all these, like, we've had a lot of
Let's
prospects
not
come up
forget
and, like,
Jared Young.
and
Come on, man.
and JY, yeah, and it's like we haven't had that many guys that like aren't like 33-year-old rookies come up in like 8 years, so that was fun. That was fun to watch. I think that I would have liked to see some of these players get actual playing time, but I will say that, like, I'm saying that, and I think a lot of us are saying that because the Cubs sucked down the stretch, right? Like, it's not just a matter of like, oh, like, call up PCA, call up Canario, and like they have to play. It's just the fact that the guys that were playing over them blew, and like we blew it down the stretch, So I don't know. It was a fun year for being a prospect nerd and getting to see those guys that I've been watching from Myrtle Beach all the way up to Chicago perform. It was a fun year, honestly.
So Mike,
yeah,
talk a little bit here. Like, Greg's talking about these guys coming up because the guys who were there kind of blew. You are maybe the most optimistic Cubs fan I know. And just in general terms, you look at the numbers and you're like, oh, these things are good about these guys. Tell Greg he's wrong, that they were actually good.
I mean, when they came up, like, I think Sarah's brought it up multiple times. When Matt Mervis, when he got sent back down, I thought he was putting together some really good at-bats, hitting some tough luck. Canario didn't play enough, but he had some good at-bats up there. The one thing I'll hang my hat on with PCA is I know every time he's been promoted, he's had a relatively short span of time where he does struggle and has to adjust.
Mm-hmm.
And the pennant race wasn't really the time to go do that. But I think, like he led off with, I mean, there's so many guys coming up, and you can see them moving up through the system. Like, you can see these guys coming, and that's a lot of fun.
It cracks me up, man. It's so funny to me that PCA was called up to be a defensive guy and like maybe steal a base or two. Like that was what he was called up for. And he struggled at the plate in what, like, how many plate appearances did he have? Like 15? Like, not even.
He might have been pushing 20.
15 at bats.
Yeah, and it's like everyone's like, "Oh, PCA actually sucks." It's like, no, like what are you talking about? He's
been here for 10 minutes. Calm down.
He was called up to be a defense, like only play the outfield.
And how many starts were there? 2, maybe? So no rhythm.
Yeah.
We just got done recording like our end of the year show for Cubs on Deck about 15 minutes ago. And Brian was talking about how like the discourse this offseason when like PCA is still ranked number 1 in the system, and people were like, that's not possible. Like this organization must suck if PCA is still ranked number. Like, the discourse is going to be phenomenal, and I'm going to be laughing the entire offseason. It's going to be terrific.
Well, and even on the reverse that people saw Canario and he should have played more. I think that we all would have liked to have seen Canario play more, but he didn't. But when he did play, he did great. He had an OPS like of 1,100 or something like that. He hit a big home run. He hit a triple the other day. Like, everything we saw of him. But that, I don't think that is what's going to happen. like if you just like he is our starting left fielder now or whatever they're going to do, I don't think that he's going to have a year like that. Probably there's development still to be done, but I'm going to put up the prospect lists here. This is the top 15 prospects that the Cubs have. Tell me about and maybe anybody can answer this question. Who would you like and who do you think will be up on the big squad next year? Who do you think gets a chance in spring training to even earn a spot? If what spots do you even think are open for the Cubs this year? Does Ben Brown get a look? Is Casey ready, or like what's going on?
Can I rapid fire down these?
Please do.
All right, so not necessarily opening day, but in guys that we will probably see in Chicago next year. PCA, yes. Cade Horton, yes. Owen Casey, yes. Kevin Alcantara, maybe. Ben Brown, yes. Matt Shaw, yes. Ballesteros, no. Ferris, no. Triantos, probably not. Wicks, yes. Rojas, no. Arias, no. Mervis, yes. Canario, yes. Drew Gray, no.
Wow.
That's a lot of yeses.
That's a lot of yeses.
Yeah.
That is a shit ton of yeses.
Yeah, Greg, are you aware that there are only 26 spots?
Oh, we're getting rid of Nico. We're getting rid of Dansby. We're getting rid of all the guys.
I love that you started with Nico and Dansby. The first two guys on the chopping block.
And none of those guys were shortstops or second baseman that I just called out either.
Well, I mean, obviously they would love it if all those guys came up because they're cheap. Of course, they're going to be making the league minimum, but that would mean.
And the truth is, the Cubs do not care what position you play. Once you get to the big leagues, you play where they put you.
Third base.
It doesn't matter if it's the shortstop or second base.
Try out like 10 guys at there.
And I want to ask this question to Mike and IFG. Anybody can answer it, but like, do you see them moving on from anybody to make room for these guys? I guess I'll start with you, Mike. Like, would they move on from, let's say, Ian Happ or trade him? Well, do you feel like you could get something in order to make room?
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. I want to see what they do this offseason. I mean, Happ is somebody who he's now got 3 years left on that contract. There's a no trade, but it doesn't mean a trade couldn't potentially happen. But off the top, you got first base, third base, an outfield position, DH. I think it's more about seeing these guys and getting them shots. Like, one of the things that makes Cody Bellinger interesting to me is he could be center fielder, he could be first base. So that gives you a chance to go into the spring potentially with PCA and Mervis, see if one of them pops, and maybe Bellinger plays the other position. And I think just the overall depth, one thing we all complained about was everybody burned out and tired in the end. We did see some guys step up. I mean, Canario played well down the stretch. Twice during the season when there were injuries, Miles Mastrobuoni played reasonably well. That shows me that, especially if these kids can come up and fill in for a couple weeks, there's no reason you can't give Dansby and Horner and Happ and some of these guys some days off in June and July. And I know Cubs Twitter, to get back to the bitch clock, will freak out every time they see any deviation in the lineup, but you need some of those. And maybe in some cases, if you give up a game in June because you're playing a B lineup or because you go to another reliever in a leverage spot, maybe you have Michael Fulmer and Alzolay down the stretch when you really need to stack up wins.
Absolutely. And I think one of my biggest complaints is that we didn't play the kids enough. So now we're going into the off season and nobody knows what these kids are. How do you trade them? If these are the kids that you want to, move on from in order to buy a big piece, nobody knows what Alexander Canario is. He's been there for 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
Matt Mervis is a good example of that, right?
Absolutely.
He killed it in 2021, killed it in 2022, and then he didn't get called up to the big leagues. So you entered this season not having any idea if he could get right into the mix of the major league level at first base. So then you had to go sign. Well, you didn't have to. So then they go and sign Trey Mancini and Eric Hosmer. Give them way too much run, and then you call it Matt Mervis. He goes through growing pains. It's all right. Can you really blame him for having 2 weeks of growing pains when he hasn't seen major league talent yet?
Exactly.
And then do the same situation for next year.
Yeah, and then immediately they send him back down, and that just kicks the can down the road. Now he's another year older, and we still don't know what he is.
Right. And the issue too, I think, is like I remember with Joe Madden, right? We hated it when he once a week had a lineup up there that was a jumble of bench guys or whatever, but he was doing it to give guys rest and also to see what he had with some of these bench players because he knew, oh, how we pine now for the days of this. But he knew that those bench guys were going to be needed down the stretch and the veterans needed rest. And obviously that message did not compute for Rossi. And now we have this issue where, nobody really has any major league experience, even though they were riding the bench. It's frustrating. I don't know if Ross will play these prospects next year if they come up. If the team's competitive, I don't think they will get to play as much as they should.
Yep.
I want to add to that
Sandy,
point.
I have to remind you that the Cubs won 98 games that year and they missed the playoffs. So that's not a good argument.
Well, one of the things we saw I remember 2016, sometimes it was injuries, sometimes it was just depth, but they would bring Kyle Schwarber up, probably 2015 actually, bring Schwarber up let him kind of play off and on for a couple weeks, and then he was back down to Iowa.
Mm-hmm.
And they did the same with Contreras. Like Canario does not have to be up on the major league roster in a starting position the entire season, but take some shots and get him some at bats, and then.
Even with Ian Happ. Ian Happ was a rookie in 2017. That team was competitive. Yeah. They let him play.
Yeah, and he hit a bunch of home runs. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they sent him back to Iowa, and he spent because it wasn't working out, and they needed to see something else. And yeah, it doesn't have to be like you're up. If you're going to come up, why not play? I think that was the frustrating thing for us is be like, you have these guys on the team. There are at bats you could be giving them, but you refuse to do it for whatever reason.
Because we need 27 clubhouse leaders.
It's what it felt like. So
I'm just glad that the Dominican Winter League is there to teach our rookies how to hit.
No, it is. I can't. When you were naming the Aguilas, I can't wait to watch that team. That's going to be incredible.
Be so much fun.
I'm all in. I'm going to get an Aguilas jersey.
Hell yeah!
Maybe they'll let you play. Just go on down there. They might let you suit up. Just tell them you're the manager. Tell them you're a scout. They won't know.
I was going to say there's no way they're going to let me play, but I could manage the team maybe.
So I would like to know what minor league player, and maybe anybody could answer this too, but this is mostly directed to Greg, is who's a minor league player that is going to surprise us, that he's not on that top 15 list, but he might end up on the major league squad because you think he's going to play his way, whether through spring training, is it a pitcher? Is it who do you see could surprise us next year and get on the squad?
That's a good question. Maybe not opening day. I haven't
not opening day.
Yeah, I have an answer that's a super deep cut, but I'm trying to think of one that's not as deep of a cut. I'll go to the deep cut first because I have it off the top of my head. So I look at the way that the Cubs have treated the catcher position over the last 8 years or so. And they love the guys that have like the soft skills. Wilson Contreras fell into their laps because he was a stud in the minor leagues. Yep. Outside of him, it's just been like catchers who can't hit to save their lives and that manage a pitching staff well. Bryce Wyndham is in AAA right now, and he doesn't have a lick of power, but he doesn't strike out. He puts the ball in play a lot, and he's a really freak athlete. He was originally a second baseman, converted to catcher.
They'd love second baseman to play some other position.
They dig that. They dig
just
that.
like they love taking a catcher and sticking him somewhere else. So this whole
So I think with Bryce Wyndham, like he's never going to be a starting catcher in Chicago. Like that's why this is a deep cut. He's never going to be a starting catcher. But he could be that, like he could make an impact and spend some serious time in Chicago as a third catcher that can also play some second or third. A PJ Higgins of the past few years, you know.
I mean, you know what they need next year, right? Amaya they only have one catcher. Gomes is done. Like
Gomes will be back.
Sign him.
Gomes will be back.
But
it's a team option.
Yeah.
Oh, they.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I was looking at his contract today, and they said he was done.
Yeah,
It's a team
but like
option.
next year,
Okay, he'll be
what I
back.
expect next year is like Miguel Amaya and Jan Gomes to share their responsibilities behind the plate a whole lot more than they did
Miguel
this year,
Amaya
right?
and Jan Gomes need to switch spots.
Yeah, and I think that's what you'll probably see next year,
I
right?
hope
And
so.
then
I
like
hope so.
work the way into Miggy being the guy behind the plate in 2025,
Yep.
like the starting guy. So
Yeah.
I
Also
think
have
it's
to remember-
hilarious that Sandy and I are like on the exact same page. We do not really know each other at all.
And then there's Moises Balestros too behind him, but he's on that list of prospects as well.
yeah,
So
he's fun. Like he's gonna be a fan favorite. Ballesteros is. I mean, like he's like
Ballesteros, that's how you
he
say it.
is. I mean, he's like a thick boy behind the plate, and
Oh yeah,
You think he'll stick there?
I love a big boy catcher.
yeah, I don't know that he'll stick there. Honestly, I don't know. Like he actually has a pretty good arm. But he's just like a big boy, and I worry about his defense behind the plate.
I love a
but
good old fashioned fat catcher.
He can,
I love them.
he can be a Rod Barajas back there. No,
I always feel like the fat catchers should go to the NHL. Like I feel like they have all the skills they need right there.
No, I have him like I view him as a first base DH guy, but like I have him ranked above Matt Mervis and Hayden McGeary and guys like that. Like I think he's a top 10 guy in the organization because like the dude knows how to hit. He's 19 years old. He made it up to Double-A. He hasn't really tapped into power yet. Like I think Moises Ballesteros is like really damn good. Like really good.
I've heard people say they think he's the best bat in the system. What do you think, Greg?
I think that no. I think that he could be. I think that he combines a weird combination of like he has a really good hit tool. He's really good at going the opposite way, like Pepper's left center
Right.
gap. He has some pop that he hasn't yet tapped into, and he has a really good approach. Like he's 19 years old, made it up to
Mature
Double-A,
approach.
and struck out like 15% of his at bat, like super low strikeout rate. So, yeah, like that combination is not something that we really have in the organization. I mean, I think that we have guys that like Owen Casey can hit the crap out of the ball, but like he doesn't necessarily bring all those qualities that Ballesteros does. So
Yeah, definitely more of a 3 true outcomes type of.
for Casey, yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. But that's a guy like we look at. I think the Cubs desperately need like the middle. You guys have probably already talked about it here today, but like the middle of the order bats, right? Like the guy with actual like they can be a 3-4 hitter, and like Owen Casey's not going to be that guy next year because he's going to be 21 years old. But like that's the type of hitter that shows like actual pop that you can potentially put in the middle of the order so that Ian Happ isn't batting 3-hole and Dansby isn't batting 5-hole, you know. You still need to go out and find somebody this offseason outside the organization to do that. But like Owen Casey can be that in a few years. Like he may strike out a ton, but he's gonna hit the ball a long ways, and not in the way that Patrick Wisdom does.
You mean that half the time he doesn't hit the ball at all?
Exactly. Yeah.
You mean that way?
Yeah. Owen Casey's had a 289 batting average this year, so still pretty decent, even though he's striking out a lot.
When the young guys that have come up, like Morel and Canary, you just see the ball pop off their bat. And it's just a different level of power.
Mike, is there somebody that's on this team right now that would absolutely break your heart if they moved on from? Like you just mentioned Morel, that's what brings that question to mind.
Don't say Morel, Mike.
No, I was gonna say. I mean, there are, but at the same time, I've been through. I was kind of looking back this year. I've been following the Cubs since like 1982, and Danny, I think we're about the same age, and there just haven't been that many great seasons. And so, honestly, if the Cubs win, unless they're just full of assholes, I don't really care. I mean, I could move on from a guy watching like Nelson Velasquez. I can root for him in Kansas City. If they make some moves, make some trades, and some guys ship out, and the end result is a really good team, I'm good.
Yeah, it did feel like we had the thing that it feels like to me this year for the Cubs is that if they would have just played all the guys they had a little bit differently, trusted some of the young bats a little bit more, give them more of an opportunity earlier in the season, maybe broke with Morel. I mean, Morel was hitting dongs in spring training, and they were like, nah, we don't need him. And he hit like, what, 12 home runs?
Or Nelly. Bring some third
Nelly.
outfielder with you.
Yeah, they didn't even have a third outfielder.
Third outfield. That's we don't even want like anything amazing from the plate. We just want somebody who understands the defensive position they're
Of
supposed to
outfield,
play.
yeah.
Usually spring break is about or spring training is about who's going to be that fourth outfielder or the fifth outfielder. We didn't leave camp with 3.
We just had 2, yeah. So it's just like, so I just kind of feel like if they had just played it a little bit differently, they would be in it, because they only missed it by a couple of games, and they lost a lot of games by very few runs. So,
Or if you miss it because those guys are getting at bats and maybe put up the same numbers that Hosmer and Mancini did, but you're giving guys a shot and you're learning something about them and you're learning something about your organization going forward.
Absolutely. That's what I was saying early in the season. We had Mancini and Hosmer there, and my argument was that Jed couldn't evaluate the guys on his team, because if he could, we could have gotten that same production out of Mervis and Young instead of Mancini and Hosmer. You absolutely could have, and I just don't understand how we broke with the team.
With better defense.
Yeah, with better defense. Thank you.
So Greg's got to get going. He's on the clock. So let's put him on the clock, the bitch clock.
This is the hardest thing for me to do, because I'm all about the positivity in the organization. So I don't have much to bitch about.
And Greg and I are not going to remember the bitch clock.
my sole job on social media is to bring optimism at all times.
Well, how about this?
I believe in you, Greg.
Then take all the negative things that you've heard about the things that we've been saying about these topics, and tell us why we shouldn't feel that way.
Yeah, I mean, Eric Wheelo had to bitch about the Brewers, and he turned it on the Cubs somehow.
Okay, so I'm gonna add. All right, I'll spin it again here.
All right, what we got?
We've got. Let's see what we come up with here. Oh yeah, baby. Yeah. Sure, no time tonight. You've got North Shore.
All right, I got
it. Right on the edge.
Diapers.
Clock, you have 30 seconds to bitch.
All right, so my thing with North Shore adult diapers, I am very confused as to why Zach Zaidman isn't the lone reader of the North Shore adult diapers ad read, because we're stuck with Pat Hughes having to laugh his way through these ad reads. It hits a little too close to home for Pat. I feel like Zach just needs to stand up. He needs to read these ad reads every single time it's time to go. He needs to step up. He never does. I don't know what's wrong with him. But North Shore adult diapers, great ad read, just wrong person doing it.
Stop your bitching.
Do you know why? But probably Pat's got to do them is because Zach is too busy laughing and cackling. In the background. He can't get through the ad read without
the meta moment that is Greg advocating to put a prospect in to do the read instead of a Hall of Famer.
Oh, absolutely. Former Hall of Famer put in the prospect.
That's incredible.
You're like the anti-Ross. You know, you're like, if you're over 30,
Play
you
all
ain't
the kids.
Yeah, if you're over 30, you're not playing on Greg's team. That's
Leo DiCaprio, yeah.
You're 26. Go home.
This is how it goes down when you're touching on hour 3 on a Cubs autopsy. But we'll let you go, Greg, and we're gonna hear another poem from Sandy, and we'll wrap this sucker up. But hashtag. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to leave you.
Thanks, guys.
But thanks. Please put. Why don't you plug everything that you do?
Yeah, you can go find the podcast that I do, Cubs on Deck, all about Cubs minor league prospects, over on anywhere where you listen to this show, over on the Northside Bound YouTube page. I host that with Brian Smith and Greg Zumak, as well as some of the Cubs minor league broadcasters. We just, right before I came on here, we finished our award show. We handed out 18 different awards in the organization, so go check that out. Besides that, you can find me on Twitter, Out of the Vines. Find my writing over at Northside Bound, all that good stuff.
Well, we're so lucky to have somebody. actually a lot of people looking so in-depthly at the minor leagues because nobody has time for that. You know, they
Ain't
know
nobody got time for that. I don't have
ain't
time for that. So
Yeah, exactly. But it's wonderful that you do because I know that Mike had you had Greg on your show, right?
Yeah,
I've had Greg on twice. He was my first repeat guest.
Yeah. Exactly. So now we're all meeting each other. Everybody's like, talking to each other. And it's just wonderful to get all this information for everybody. I appreciate everything you do. But thanks for coming on tonight. And we'll see you this winter.
I appreciate it, everybody. Good to see everybody.
Later, brother.
Thank you.
So, Sandra, do you have another poem for us that you picked out tonight?
I
love
do.
to hear
And
another
this one, I mean, it might be a little too soon for this.
Oh.
Like
but-
in the show, or because it is out
No,
at 3.
definitely not in the show. Oh my God, no.
How much longer do you think we're gonna go here?
October 2nd might be a little too soon for this poem, but I think what else do we have, right? We're gonna bitch about the playoffs. We're gonna watch them and bitch about them because our teams didn't make it, and even our backup teams didn't make it in the case of Infield Fly Girl and myself. So this poem will, I think, conjure up a little bit of spring and summer and what we're looking forward to getting back to. So Friday 120. If you shut your eyes, you'll forget where you are and hear the nature of real things. From your seat, the long, low call of the hot dog vendor is a mourning dove singing to those he loves.
Oh, Friday 120 is really what it's all about. That's what it's the difference of the romance of being a Cubs fan versus any other kind of fan,
That's why we get
Seriously.
to be sentimental.
Yep. You nail it every time. So good.
Thank you.
So, Mike, still no poem? I gave you like a good, I gave you 15 minutes.
I did blow my cue on that one.
To be fair, those baseball reference pages can really be poems. If you really look hard enough, there's poems in all of them.
There's poems everywhere. Yeah, if you look. Now, I know that you maybe don't want to go into the bitch clock like Greg, but you've got to because everybody else took a turn.
Oh, yeah.
But Mike, I'm gonna throw you in the bitch clock. Are you ready, my friend?
I am ready. Hopefully, no diapers.
We'll give you a mulligan.
You get a mulligan.
To be fair, we've had as many unwanted diapers as we've had in every Cubs broadcast.
Oh yeah, it's been.
I'm actually just glad Trevor Bauer's not on this one.
Yeah, exactly. I could add it. Okay. This is a good one for you. Did we have this one already?
Yes, we did.
Yeah, all right. But I think it's still a good one.
I'm
Roster
in. Let's go.
construction.
Clock, you have 30 seconds to bitch.
Everyone wants David Ross fired. Everybody points to the errors made at the end of the season. This season was lost, and we didn't even know. Well, I guess we sort of did know it in April and May. We left camp with 2 outfielders. We had a bunch of guys like Torrens and Rios who never played. When the roster did actually get deeper with guys who showed they could play later, they didn't play enough.
10 seconds.
And they might as well just start the season with like 12 guys and go at it all season. This year, it's got to be better. They got to get deeper, and they got to use that depth.
Amen.
Stop your bitching.
Amen.
Very good. I like the idea that they should just start with 12 guys because that's the truth. There's no sense in filling every roster spot if you're not going to use them.
Yeah, Luis Torrens.
That's
would
how
like
Ricketts
a
can
word.
save money.
Yeah, exactly. It's like we know we could have 25, 26, but we're going to go with 12 if that's cool with you. All at league minimum. Sandy, would you like to take a spin of? Yeah, of course.
Absolutely.
Oh, she's in.
She's in.
All right.
Okay, sweet.
Pitch away, Sandy.
All right, here we go. Let's hopefully we get something different here.
Sandy, you got to say it in rhyme, though.
No. I'll try to be eloquent. That's the best I can do.
Here we go. Taking the spin. Round and round she goes. Where she stops, only the bitch clock knows. Ooh, it could be Cubs Twitter again.
Okay.
Clock, you have 30 seconds to bitch.
Well, so I had a hit tweet actually on Cubs Twitter the last game of the season, and I talked about why I thought the Cubs were so gassed at the end of the season after doing the playoff push right before the trade deadline. And a lot of people told me I was wrong. And I have to say to them,
10 seconds.
They should have read the whole thread. Unfortunately, these people don't have any critical thinking skills, no metacognition. They're just angry. They're not good at reading things.
Stop your bitching.
Fuck that.
I love how you ran out of time.
There was a lot of context I had to get through there before I could really start.
It was perfect, Sandy. It was perfect. These people can't read. They have no critical thinking skills. They're not even reading what they're arguing about.
It's
what the
true.
hell?
It's like
platform. If you can't read, get off of it.
Thank you.
I had a guy the other day that I totally agreed with him, and he kept arguing with me. I'm like, and I would say, yeah, dude, you're right. I do think that too. And he'd be like,
hold
no,
on, Danny. That was me.
Yeah, exactly. That was you tonight on this show. Yeah, probably. But no, it's just like, did you read what I wrote? Like, are you listening to what I just said? I think you're right. No. I'm like, oh, it's like duck season, rabbit season. You know, it's like, what?
It's a parasympathetic nervous system response that just as soon as you see it, you're just like, what's my counter argument?
Yeah, it's like, but I'm agreeing with you.
I'm a harmonious person. I don't want to disagree.
So I that's pretty much all we got for this whole show. Except shockingly, that I am out of ideas. But actually, I'm not. We're going on the Discord after.
Hold on, before we get out of here, Danny. Come on, before we get out of here, we got 3 people who've been on the show well, not every single episode. You're the only one that makes it on every episode because if you don't show up, we don't show up. And no, I think it's a moment for us to just thank these people for listening along with us and doing this. If you have a moment for a non-bitch clock, an actual like a thoughtful like farewell to the season, I think that would be appropriate right now.
Okay, farewell season. Farewell, everybody. Goodbye.
IFG, what about you? Anything less eloquent than what Danny just said?
All I was going to bring up was that we're going to do the chance competition, and then you got all freaking sentimental on me, and I'm like, I'm just trying to move the show along an hour freaking 3 and tell people to go to Discord because I'm not even done yet.
We've all got 5 more minutes. Okay, IFG.
Hi, Ranters. It's been an absolute. This is my first full season on the Sun Ranto show. It has been an absolute blast. Logging in on here and arguing with Cotton and mostly agreeing with him at the same time, paradoxically. It's been weird. All right. But thank you all for every Discord conversation with the Patreon supporters. And thank you for every time I've gotten a surprise Venmo when I was at the ballpark so I can get a hot dog and a beer. And thank you for sharing what you're drinking along with us. And thank you for the Neurospicy Ranters thread in the Discord, which might be my favorite corner of the entire internet. And I love you all. Thank you so much for being a part of my baseball life.
See, Danny, that's how you were supposed to fucking do it.
Yeah, but I knew she would do it better than me, so I just let her do it, and then I don't have to do it. Actually, I sent something to our Patreon supporters the other day. I sent a little message to everybody, just thanking them for really a great year. Because honestly, 500 seasons suck. I said it before the season started that this year was going to suck, that 500 teams are the most frustrating kinds of teams to watch because they will always freaking frustrate you with their by losing winnable games, which is exactly what we saw happen. And so I'm sad to be correct that this was a frustrating year. But it was fun to go into the Discord and bitch about it with all you guys, and to come on this show and to do the post games and everything is all very cathartic. And I just, all my best friends are here. Like, that's just it. It's like we have such a good time together in the bleachers, on the show, all the events, the Bleacher Bump Band shows, playing in South Bend, singing the national anthem. Like Evan was there. A lot of people here tonight I see the games with, I hang out on Twitter with. So it's just awesome. This is my family, and y'all already knew that. So
that was very nice. Thank you, Danny.
Yeah. You gonna go, Grandma?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, sorry, drunk uncle.
Drunk uncle.
Drunkle.
Yeah. No, Danny said a lot of it. IFG said a lot of it. This is like the season is about the Ranters, honestly. And this year we've had a lot of like changes in the way that we've done things and how we've gone about it. We moved from Facebook to Discord, and honestly, that's been, for me, that's been a great, and for Bill Sugas, because he doesn't get kicked off every 4 minutes.
Bill doesn't get banned anymore. It's great. Like, what happened to Bill? Oh, he posted a meme, but with like Jesus bleeding, and now he's gone for a week.
So, so we've been over there, and there's been a lot of great conversations. I've had a great conversations with Mike Waller on the Discord channel. It's been wonderful, and I really enjoy that. There are a lot of times when I kind of dread the show coming up on a Sunday, because that's just who I am. And then I get on the show, I'm like, this is the most fun I'm having all day, all week, whatever, just enjoying. It's weird. It's self-sabotaging, and it is whatever it is. As IFG said, the Neuro Spicy Ranchers are one of the great things that we have, that we can actually talk about these sort of things. And I want to thank IFG for joining the show.
Hell yeah.
Because look, Danny and I have been doing this for a long time. We've had a lot of different people come in and out. And you have fit in really well. You're really good. You're actually, sadly, way better when I'm not on the show, because I listen when I'm not on the show and I hear you talking. I'm like, yeah, she's making all the points I would have made. Fuck. So hopefully Danny doesn't realize he doesn't need me. And we both get to keep arguing about things we're agreeing about.
I realize it. Don't worry about that, Cotton. I already know.
he's just guilted into keeping me on here.
Yeah, I'm like, well, I can't get rid of him now. It's his whole freaking life.
Honestly, I love this group. I love this show. And we've had a lot of people on from a lot of different shows, and you should all go out and check them out, watch them, listen, all that stuff. But when you want the truth, you come here.
You come here. If you
That's what we do.
For a good time, call the Ranters. So
I love it. So thank you all. Thank you, Danny, for having me on for the last 9 years, and IFG for being a part of this year, and everyone else. So happy to get to interact with you every day.
Hashtag chance in the chat. It is your last chance to get in on the chance. We have such fabulous prizes that have gone in the bag, including a commemorative Mark Grace and Sean Dunston pin that went in last time. It's a very cool prize. So get in there right now. Hashtag chance. I'm going to draw this thing as we speak.
No whammies. No whammies.
Who do we got? Round and round she goes. Where she stops, only the StreamYard giveaway. Lisa Cram.
Lisa.
Congratulations. Out of there in California. Congratulations, Lisa. You are now entered to win the chance. And also, I'll be sending you a postcard with a message of love and doom.
She was my secret ranter or I was her
Aw.
secret ranter.
Yeah, longtime family
A while
member of
back.
the Ranters. Yeah. So I do want to say thank you. We're not going anywhere. We'll have a show every single week, except for probably around the holidays where we'll take a little bit of time off when nothing's really going on anyway. And, I had a really fun year, but we'll see it probably. We'll figure out what day we'll go. It probably will matter what games we want to watch this postseason, and we'll probably do a couple game watches. So I really do encourage everybody to please join the Patreon. It's only $1 to do that. It's just, it's how we keep the riffraff out. And it's patreon.com/sunranto is how you do it. There's a lot of great people.
I have one
Totally worth it.
suggestion. There's going to be a lead-on game at City Field this off-season. It's going to be the Tigres del Licey and the Águilas Ibaeñas. So we're going to get to see a bunch of the Cubs playing at City Field. I think it's in November. So that'll be a really fun one to add on to our live game watch schedule.
I
That
might
would be
go out
really
to,
fun.
Above
I've been-
30 degrees.
I have been, yeah, right. It could be pretty cold. It's like still hurricane season too, coming up the Atlantic. This could be an interesting time. But no, I might even go in for that. Like that'd be interesting to see. I wouldn't, if the weather looks good, I could see going there. I've been trying to plan a trip out there to see some friends. So, but yeah, thank you to all the ranters. I'm going to go over to Discord for probably another 45 minutes. Please join us. Thank you, Sandy. Thank you, Mike Waller. Please listen to Cubs PS Plus podcast. Thank you for your support of the Sun Ranto Show. Thank you, IFG and Michael Cotton. We'll see you over there. I'm going to play a song that I wrote with my good friend Billy Joel, another New Yorker. It's We Didn't Start the Cubs Fire that I did with Wrigleyville Bum. That's what he helped me make this video. And Spagog,
All right.
everybody.
All right, let's do it. Last time.
Dog besties, I love you.
Gabby Hartnett, Ernie Banks, Ryan Sandberg, Solly Drake, Sammy Sosa, Fergie Jenkins, Anthony Rizzo, Billy Williams, Andre Dawson, Jason Kendall, Davey Johnson, Rob Justrisny, Nick Martini, Carlos Zambrano. Kerry Wood, Frank Chance, Charlie Root, Bill Hans, Mark Grace, Leon Durham, Ted Lilly, Sparky Adams, Johnny Evers, Bob Rush, Jody Davis, Guy Bush, Manny Trio, Eddie Stakey, Billy Herman, Hank White. The Chicago fire had just kept on burning from the south to Irving. In the Chicago fire, Wrigley would have burnt up, but it wasn't built yet. Woody English, Johnny Kling, Lenny Randall, Jeno Tang, Jimmy Ryan, Aaron Heilman, Bill Madlock, Mark Pryor, Jack Pfister, Lon Warnicki, Chris Bryant, Stan Hack, Cy Block, Lou Johnson, and Brock, Ron Say, Vic Keane, Dexter Fowler, Willie Green, Kevin Foster, Sheriff Blake, Ryan Dempster, Sammy Drake, Bill Lee, Rick Sutcliffe, Jimmy Slagle, Lee Smith, Ray Sanchez, Mike Perez, Aramis Ramirez. Chicago fire had just kept on burning from the south to Irving. In the Chicago fire, Wrigley would have burnt up, but it wasn't built yet. Larry French, Derek Lee, Kenny Lofton, King Kelly, Mel Hall, Cleo James, Rick Russell, Junior Lake, Cap Benson, Hippo Vaughn, Gary Matthews, Gene Mock, John Lester, ML Cush, Harry Steinfeld, Glendon Rush. Kiki Kyler, Tom Burns, Greg Maddox, Pete LeConte, Doug Glenville, Les Mann, Bobby Scales and Scanlon, Hank Sauer, Kyle Hendricks, Larry Jackson, Milt Pappas, Jake Fox and Arietta, Phil Cavaretta. The Chicago fire had just kept on burning from the south to Irving. In the Chicago fire, Wrigley would have burnt up, but it wasn't built yet. Terrence Gore, Sam Full, Bruce Suter, Travis Wood, Jeff Reed, Bill Krieg, Larry Cox and Schlafly, Sergio Alcantara, Steve Lake, Albert Almora, Dave Clark, King Cole, Marlon Bird, Ron Santo, Bob Buell, Steve Trout, John Baker, Three Finger Brown, Rick Monday, Cal McVeigh, Jeff Pico, Felix P.A. Chicago fire had just kept on burning from the south to Irving. In the Chicago fire, Wrigley would have burnt up, but it wasn't built yet. Ed Rulebach, Bill Dolan, El Tapine, Zimmerman, Ray Mack, Max Flack, Matt Stairs, and half. Andy Puckle, Marvell Wynn, Mitch and Otto Williams, Scott Bolin and Sanderson, Bob O'Farrell, Rick Wilkins, Dan Swanson, Silver Flint, Javi Baez, Danny French, Chad Godin, Peaches Graham, Ray Grimes, Dennis Lamb, Jimmy Sheckard, Bobby Bonds, Larry Boa, Jim Edmonds, Chris Morrell, Hiram Bithorn, Brian Lahair, Daryl Ward.
Chicago Fire has just kept on burning from LaSalle to Irving. And the Chicago Fire would have burned the Cubs in 1871. If the Chicago Fire had just kept on burning from LaSalle to Irving, in the Chicago Fire, Wrigley would have burned up, but it wasn't built yet. In the Chicago Fire, I just kept on burning from LaSalle to Irving. Thank you.